Chapter 7:15. His mother came just like that, without the slightest bit of precaution, and without the slightest hesitation. She appeared just like that. Chinze was speechless. Will there be any sequelae? This thought flashed through his mind, but he didn't have time to think about it. His mother was here. She saw it. He didn't dare to think about it. He didn't dare to think about it. The consequences would be unbearable. No matter how healthy she was, she would be so angry that she would have a heart attack or a cerebral hemorrhage. Why is Mom here? His sister looked like she was about to collapse. Her seductive manner was gone, and her eyes were full of panic. His sister held his hand, and her knuckles were trembling slightly. She must have called at noon and heard that you were sick, so she came to see you. Chinze's face was pale. Why didn't she call? Sister, you must take back the key later. You can't give it to Mom. Qin Baobao was about to cry. Is this the time to talk about this? Get out quickly. As soon as she said that, her mother's voice came from outside. Baobao? Ace? Qin Baobao shivered. Run. Why run? Chinze's face was dark. Mom is outside. Aren't you courting death if you run out? Then what should we do? His sister frowned in panic. Just say that you're taking a shower. Calm her down first. Chinze glanced at the bathroom door nervously. Hey. His sister responded and tried to suppress her trembling voice. Mom, I'm taking a shower. Why are you here? Are you trying to kill me? Qinma heard the sound, walked over and asked at the door. Taking a shower? Where's Ace? Qin Baobao was about to say that he was in the room, but Chinze covered his mouth hard. Say that I'm not at home. I'm entertaining. How could Qinma not know that there was one less person at home? Saying that he was in the room was courting death. Qin Baobao reacted and tried to sound normal. He's outside. I don't know where that chick is. Who cares? Outside the door, Qinma said. Oh. Mom, why did you come over? Why didn't you tell me? Qin Bao complained. Didn't Ace say that you weren't feeling well? I came to check on you, Qinma said gently. I'm fine. My body isn't too good. I can eat 3 bowls of rice every meal. Qin Baobao said. Qinma didn't say anything. She only said, Are you almost done? Come out when you're done. Mom has something to talk to you about. There's nothing to say, Qin Baobao said loudly. Nothing. I mean yes. Qin Baobao's voice gradually weakened. Chinze gave her a look, and her sister immediately became angry. Mom, you are so annoying. I don't want to talk to you. If you have something to say, let's go home tomorrow. Get out of here. I beg you. Qinma said in an irresistible tone. Hurry up. I'll wait for you outside. There was silence outside the door. Qin Baobao looked at her brother. What do we do now? You sneak out? Chinze's mouth twitched. Don't mess around. Everyone in the living room can see. You're showering in the room. If Mom sees me sneaking out, how do you think she will react? Qin Baobao thought for a moment. Stupid, I'll go out. I'll send her home. Both of them were almost scared to death. Qin Baobao walked out of the bathroom. Qin Baobao put on a bathrobe and said softly, I'm going out. Chinze was about to nod when he suddenly saw the hickeys on his sister's neck. He was shocked. Sister, please. Qin Baobao was confused. She said in a sneaky tone. What's wrong? Chinze pointed at his neck. Qin Baobao walked to the mirror and looked at herself. Qin Baobao was speechless for a moment. Qin Baobao. His sister shrank back into the bathtub and stomped her feet in the water. She was about to cry. You've killed me, you black-hearted maggot. Why did you kiss me? Chinze said. I didn't notice. Who would have thought of that in that situation? Wasn't it you who kept pressing me against your neck? Qin Baobao felt as if 5 lightning bolts had struck her head, extinguishing her will to live. She suddenly realized that her plan wasn't perfect. It was all talk on paper. Just having an affair with her brother behind her parents' back was already difficult enough. There was the risk of being discovered at any time. There was movement beside her. Looking down, Qin Baobao was furious. You're still in the mood for that? Chinze ignored her and continued to use the 5 dragons pillar technique. There was still no response. He looked up in despair. It's over, Qin Baobao. Sister, help me try. I think I can still be saved. Qin Baobao said straightforwardly. Why you can't get it up? Qin Zhe. In that instant sorrow flowed like a river. When his mother entered the room, he was almost at the critical moment. He was shocked. He had long heard that a man would have problems when he was stimulated at the critical moment. He didn't believe it before, but now he had to. Qin Baobao panicked. Do we go to the hospital? I'd rather die than go to the hospital. I have to find a private doctor. Qin Zhe's expression changed several times. He pushed his sister to the side of the bathtub and flipped her over so that her back was facing him. Rub against me. Maybe I'll be fine after a little rub. His sister's position would make any man angry. Qin Zhe needed this kind of stimulation to heal the wounds in his heart. Qin Zhe was relieved and patted his sister's butt. Sister, your days of happiness are still long. I'm sick, but I'm not impotent. Thank goodness. After a little rub, he felt like he had gained a new skill. Baobao, Mom's coming in. The bathroom door was knocked twice, and with a click the door opened. Because they didn't expect to be caught red-handed, the bathroom door wasn't locked since there were only the two of them in the house. Qin Zhe's face was sad. F***ck. He didn't have time to be sad. In a flash, he took a deep breath and dove into the water without thinking. Qin Baobao also grabbed a bag of dried roses by the bathtub and poured them all into the bathtub. Qin Ma came in. Qin Baobao threw the empty bag away guiltily. Then, she squatted in the water and pressed her back against the edge of the bathtub. Only her head was above the water. She used anger to hide her fear and loss of composure. Mom, what are you doing in here? I'm taking a bath. So what? You're my flesh and blood. Which part of you haven't I seen? Qin Ma was unmoved. She closed the door and walked to the bathtub. She pulled a stool and sat down. She glanced at the thick layer of rose petals floating on the water. Why are you sprinkling so many petals? It's a waste. Qin Baobao's eyes darted around. Petals whiten and nourish my skin. I'm a superstar. I have to take good care of myself. Qin Ma. Then Mom will come down and take a bath with you. No. Qin Baobao screamed. She felt that she had lost her composure. How old are you? You're not a child. Mom is really taking a bath. You should go back first. Tomorrow. Thinking that the kiss mark wouldn't disappear even tomorrow, she changed her words. I'll go home the day after tomorrow. Your son is still in the water. Don't come down. At the thought of Qin Ma going into the water without a care, Qin Baobao's forehead was almost covered in cold sweat. Qin Ma's eyes swept across the spacious bathroom. Suddenly, she saw 2 bathrobes and 2 pairs of slippers by the pool. You threw the bathrobes everywhere, and didn't even put the slippers away after taking a bath? Ace has become lazy. Qin Baobao. Yes. Ace is really getting out of hand. Her sister's little heart was about to jump out of her chest. She thought to herself that it was fortunate that her brother's clothes and underwear were not on the floor. Otherwise she would be finished. Qin Baobao made up her mind. Mom, you didn't come to see me to check on my health, right? Qin Ma said in a bad mood. You know very well. If I didn't come in myself, would you take an hour to take a bath? Until I go back? Qin Baobao refused to admit it. I didn't. Qin Ma. I raised you for 26 years. Do you think I don't know what kind of person you are? Qin Baobao didn't say anything. Qin Ma sighed and said, I know you. You either don't fall in love or you insist. Mom was very happy when she found out that you had a boyfriend. Finally. She paused and didn't continue. But who knew that you would have problems again? Tell Mom, who is the man who bullied my Baobao? At the same time under the water, Qin Zhe was holding his breath. The water was not a good medium for sound transmission. The conversation between his sister and mother reached his ears, but it was vague. It was easy for him to hold his breath. He could still hold it if they talked for 10 to 20 minutes. However, he wanted to know what his mother and sister were talking about. System, give me a hack. Is it 999 super invincible hack? Or is it 999 super invincible hack? The system replied. The host is in a life and death situation. System, don't be naughty. How about giving me a radar? No problem, host. 100 points. Are you trying to rob me? 100 points? Take it or leave it. Yes, yes, yes. As soon as he finished speaking, the conversation between his sister and mother rang clearly in his mind. The sound waves were directly transmitted to Qin Zai's mind through the medium of the system. Qin Baobao pretended as if nothing had happened. No one bullied me. I broke up peacefully. Yes, peacefully. Qin Ma whispered, don't pretend. When you just came back, don't you know what you were like? You didn't have a soul at all. When have you been like this since you were a child? Mom knows that my Baobao is a sentimental person. If you like someone, you can't wait to treat him well. But there are always people who don't know how to cherish you. So it's better to break up. It's better to end the pain quickly than to prolong the pain, right? Did he come back to you again? Don't be silly again, my daughter. You are so beautiful. Mom is afraid that you will be bullied by others and waste your youth. In the end, you will have nothing. These words touched the bottom of Qin Baobao's heart. She felt a lump in her throat. Qin Zai thought to himself, so Mom rushed over to give my sister psychological counseling. My Baobao is such a good girl, but she just doesn't know how to pick a man. The siblings did not understand the bitterness and deep meaning of their mother's words. As Qin Ma spoke, tears began to fall. Mom is worried sick about you. I don't want to judge your relationship, but you should at least tell us. If you worry like this, you won't be able to eat or sleep well. His sister's eyes reddened. Which parent doesn't want their children to be well? Mom feels better seeing you so sad. No matter how bad that man is, as long as Baobao likes him, Mom is willing to understand. Qin Baobao cried, Mom, he's not bad. He's not bad. Qin Ma said, then tell Mom who he is. As long as you really like him, Mom will accept him. Mom is willing to accept him. Qin Baobao said, Ouch! Qin Zai pinched her thigh hard. Qin Baobao woke up from the pain. She woke up from the sad atmosphere her mother had created. What's wrong with you? Qin Ma asked. It's nothing. The brush is still in the bathtub. I accidentally used it just now and it stabbed me to death. Qin Baobao made up an excuse. Then she squeezed her eyes and forced out 2 drops of tears. I know, Mom. I promise I won't have any entanglements with him anymore. If I find someone in the future, I will bring him back to you as soon as possible. The mother and daughter chatted for a while. Qin Ma tested her boyfriend's identity in various ways. Qin Baobao avoided the important points and focused on the trivial. She used her acting skills and made all kinds of promises. She said that she had gotten rid of her failed relationship, that she would definitely get married before she turned 30, and that her mother would definitely arrange a blind date for her. Qin Ma nodded helplessly. It's good that you know. Don't hold back when you feel wronged. Remember to bring your boyfriend home when you find him. Don't hide it from us. Oh right, why isn't your brother back yet? 2 minutes ago, Qin Zai was already pinching his sister's waist. Qin Baobao knew what he meant. Hurry up and let Mom go. I'm F***king suffocating. It's just a social gathering. It's all like that. Mom, if you don't have anything else to do, you should go back first. It's very late. Qin Baobao chased her away. Qin Ma thought for a while. Mom, why don't you sleep here tonight? Qin Baobao. Qin Zai. Her sister was a smart girl after all. She played along and said, Okay, Mom. You can sleep with me tonight. After a pause, she said with a bitter face, I'm hungry. Ace isn't home tonight, so I ate takeout myself. I only ate a little. Mom, can you go to the kitchen and cook some noodles for me? Qin Ma said angrily, You don't know how to take care of yourself at all. Wait for me. After saying that, she finally left. As soon as she left, Qin Zai came out of the water and greedily breathed in the fresh air. He panted and said with lingering fear, Mom, I almost died. I almost died. Qin Baobao heaved a sigh of relief and sat down in the bathtub as if she had collapsed. You almost fell into Mom's trap just now. Do you know that? Qin Zai was still scared. Qin Baobao said awkwardly, I know. I won't do it again. A mother's tears were a great weapon for children. If he was not careful, he would be led astray. Qin Baobao climbed out of the bathtub quickly and put on her bathrobe. I'll go to the kitchen and then close the door. You sneak out and then come in again. Remember to go to the room and put on your clothes. Be quick and be quiet, okay? I know. By the way, sister, Qinzhe said. Qin Baobao stopped at the door and looked back. What's the matter? Qinzhe said. When mom goes to bed tonight, we'll do it again. Qin Baobao was so angry that she wanted to kill someone. Do you want to die? After saying the word idiot, she slipped out of the bathroom. Qinzhe lowered his head and looked sadly at the lollipop. He said to himself, it's okay, it's okay. Even if sister doesn't help you, your two ex-girlfriends can. You can definitely do it. Yes, 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 Germany won. As expected of the previous champion. From now on I've become a fan. It's won. I actually won. I'll write a few books and live on the World Cup in the future. I won the club's model, but I lost the balcony's number. Manual funny. Also the match between Spain and Portugal was the best. Iceland was also very good. Out of 330,000 people, only 11 made it to the World Cup. In contrast, a certain country in Asia, more than 1 billion people couldn't even make it to the World Cup. I feel embarrassed for India. Chapter 7:16. After this incident, Qinzhe had a psychological shadow. In the next few days he had to lock the door every time to feel at ease. And it was not limited to his sister. Once with Suyu at a critical moment, Qinzhe suddenly stopped, jumped out of bed without saying a word, ran out of the living room and locked the door. Suyu was in bed for a long time. What's wrong? I didn't hear anyone knocking on the door. Suyu was at a loss. This question was not easy to answer. Qinzhe thought about it and explained, I just went out for a walk. After the World Cup, the players have to walk around the field a few times. He always said strange things. Suyu was used to it and said happily, I'm pregnant. Qinzhe scratched his head and said, Pregnant again? No, our child hasn't entered your stomach for a long time. Suyu hit him and twisted her slender waist. My period didn't come this month. Qinzhe was stunned. Did you go to the hospital to check? Suyu, no. Qinzhe. Don't think about it, it's definitely an imbalance. Suyu said angrily. Can't you expect better from me? Qinzhe. You're almost 30, not like young girls in their early 20s. It's easy for them to get pregnant, so it must be an imbalance. Go back to the hospital and take care of yourself. Your stomach is not up to expectations, blame me? In the past, the country's population pressure was great, so it advocated late birth and late childbirth. It was best for women to be over 24 years old, but Suyu was almost 30. The older a woman was, the harder it was to get pregnant. The risk of childbirth was also greater. Bullshit. A 20-year-old girl's skin is not as good as mine. Suyu said, last year's physical examination, all my physical indicators were very good. Anyway, I have no problem. As she said, she looked at Qinzhe suspiciously. You only found a girlfriend when you're 23. It will reduce that activity. When was it a low thing to find a girlfriend at the age of 23? This was the normal and reasonable age for human beings to mate. Not counting those born in 2000, they were atavistic. After the hickeys on their sister's neck disappeared, the siblings returned home with peace of mind. They remembered this moment and used it as a warning. He drove home with bags of tonics and gifts. There were all kinds of facial masks, wrinkle removal creams, and other skincare products for Qin Ma. There were also ties, pens, shirts, leather shoes, and so on for the old man. He was a university professor. Although he used to dress decently, his most decent clothes only cost a few thousand yuan. The old man was considered a simple and thrifty person in the professorial circle. He had no choice. In the past few years, his family had been in debt, and he had to clean up his uncle's mess. But now, Grandpa Shen's clothes cost at least 5 figures. His entire outfit cost more than 100,000 renminbi. All of them were bought by Qin Bao. Bao, give it to me. Standing at the door, Qinzhe turned around and looked at his tall and charming sister. She wore snow boots, stockings, a pleated short skirt, a pink coat, and a silk scarf around her neck. She was barefaced. I told you not to call me Bao Bao. Qin Bao felt a chill down her spine. She felt extremely ashamed and said angrily, Call me sister, you bastard. You have no respect for your elders. The 2 words Bao were nothing if it came out of other people's mouths, but when it came out of Qinzhe's mouth, that kind of shame. It's just like how you can wantonly sway your body in front of your friends, make exaggerated gestures and say, hey. Your friends were your parents, your 7 aunts and 8 uncles. You would probably only sing the song of the 5-starred red flag fluttering in the wind, the song of victory so loud. This was how Qin Bao Bao felt when her younger brother called her Bao Bao. It's just for fun. When we get home I won't scream anymore. Qin Zhe took the things from his sister's hands, even though he was already covered in gifts. Then he waved his arm and said, "Come hug your husband's arm." Hubby hubby. Qin Bao Bao's pretty face turned pale, and she slowly shivered. After hesitating for a moment, she chose to hug Qin Zhe's arm obediently. They usually had this posture. After knowing each other's background, they subconsciously avoided intimate contact because of a guilty conscience. But if the change was too sudden, and it was seen by the attentive mother, the middle-aged woman's imagination couldn't be underestimated. Moreover, both of them already had a criminal record. The mother would think that the man that her daughter hid outside and refused to reveal his name, could it be her son? She took out the key to open the door and entered the house. At 2:30 after dinner, her parents were cleaning the house. Qin Zhe and his sister helped to paste the Spring Festival couplets and the word Fu. Qin Bao Bao held the Spring Festival couplets in her hand and shouted to her mother who was scrubbing the oil in the kitchen. "Mom, do you and Dad want to change houses? I will buy a new house for you." Qin Ma responded, "Do you still have a vacant house in your community?" Qin Zhe immediately glared at his sister. Qin Bao Bao said, No, I mean to help you buy a villa in Songjiang. It was best for her parents to move further away so that they would be safer when driving and wouldn't have to worry." Qin Bao Bao felt sorry for her brother. He already had a psychological shadow. If it happened a few more times, wouldn't it be the real brother Wu Bo? Qin Ma was uninterested. "Why buy it so far away? Forget it, the old house is more comfortable. Otherwise your dad and I can move to your place. Ace should buy another house. You two can't always live together." Bye, Qin Zhe said. "Mom, if you want to buy it, then we will buy it." Qin Ma nodded in the kitchen. Qin Zhe pulled his sister and left. "Don't talk nonsense. Isn't it good for them to live here?" Now that the two of them were living happily together, Qin Zhe had already moved to his sister's room. He hugged his sister to sleep every day. He didn't even think about his career or making money. Back in the days, Emperor Xuanzong and Li Longji were also obsessed with Yang Yuhuan's beauty. Beautiful golden hair ornaments, hibiscus tint warmth spent the spring night. The spring night was short and the sun rose high. From then on, the emperor didn't go to court early. Femme fatale. A little higher, a little more to the left, a little more to the left. Okay, just like that. Qin Zhe instructed his sister to stick the Fu character. Thanks to Qin Ma's usual cleaning, the cleaning was quickly completed. Qin Ma went out to find familiar aunties in the community to chat, and listen to them boast about their daughter and son. Old Master Qin chatted with his son about economics. Old Master Qin was a very single-minded man. He was single-minded in both his career and his relationship. He was obsessed with Lily's mother Qin and economics. Qin Bao Bao was obsessed with her brother. Perhaps she inherited the old man's genes. Qin Bao Bao sat next to her brother and listened to the father and son talk about economics and economics. She looked down and played with her phone. Suddenly, Qin Bao Bao's body stiffened. Then she flew into a rage. A dog's paw slid down her waist and stroked her buttocks. How dare he? Was he not afraid that his leg would be broken? Qin Bao Bao looked at her brother angrily. However, he was focused on talking to their father. His expression was normal. He didn't seem to know what he was doing. Touching my buttocks subconsciously at home, when the two of them were alone in the living room, Qin Zhe was like this. In other words, maybe he didn't even realize what he was doing. Qin Bao Bao glanced at her father carefully. They were close to each other. Qin Zhe's hand was stroking her sister's buttocks from behind. The old man couldn't see it at the moment. Her sister kept a straight face. She silently placed the pillow on her knees to block the gap between them. Then she pricked up her ears and tried to listen to the movement at the door. Her father couldn't see it, but if her mother came back from the angle of the door, she would be able to see her son molesting her daughter. Qin Bao Bao stretched her body. She felt the hand lingering outside her skirt for a moment. Then she gently lifted the hem of her pleated skirt. Gradually, the old man couldn't keep up with his son's rhythm. He felt bored and asked, "Will Suyu come this year?" It was still interesting to chat with Suyu. Suyu never refuted his views like his son and threw out a lot of theories and data that he didn't understand for the time being. Qin Baobao didn't even think about it. She replied, "If she doesn't come, why would she come?" The old man looked at her. "Is the air conditioner hot? Your face is so red." Qin Baobao, "Yes, it's very hot." Her sister tightened the pillow. "Qin Zai, I'll ask later. She's alone at home for the new year." The old man nodded. "Let her come home for the new year. By the way, Zijin won't return to Shanghai for the new year." The brother and sister were silent. "The living room is too hot. Dad, I'll go back to my room." Qin Baobao said, "Ace, come here. Let's discuss next year's new album." They left the living room and went to her sister's room. Qin Baobao closed the door. Without saying a word, she picked up a knife and chopped it. She scolded, "Black heart maggot. Black heart maggot." "I didn't react, sister. It's all familiar. When I reacted, it had already found its favorite Pure Land." Qin Zai dodged and quibbled, "Don't hit it. My hair is messed up." "Do you want to die? Dad will kill you. You have a strong desire to survive." Qin Baobao continued to chop. "But it's exciting, isn't it?" Qin Zai said. "Qin Baobao, you have to stay at home for at least half a month? I can't touch you for half a month. Just thinking about it is torturous." Qin Zai sighed. "What else can we do? The soundproofing at home is not good. You can't come here in the middle of the night." Qin Baobao said helplessly. They were in the honeymoon period and were inseparable. However, they had to keep a distance from each other when they returned home. The soundproofing of the old house was too poor. The chances of her having a baby without her parents knowing was almost zero. "The soundproofing of our house is not good. But there are pros and cons. I can hear footsteps in the hallway. I can also hear things further away. For example, our dad is in the kitchen now. Why can't I hear anything? My hearing has been better than yours since I was a child. I heard the sounds in our parents' room first." "Shut up. Don't mention such shameful things. I have a safer driving position. Turn around first and hold the wall. Yes, stick your butt up. You don't have to take off the short skirt. It won't make any noise if you wear it. Is it okay? You'll know when you try. I'm coming. Don't scream." "Okay." Chapter 717. As it turned out, this driving position was very safe. The river crab and his parents did not notice at all. Coupled with Qin Zai's powerful hearing, it was almost foolproof, unless the mother installed a surveillance camera in her daughter's room. But Qin Zai soon regretted it. Because he could not concentrate, the experience became worse. Although the psychological stimulation was very good, he did not fire at his sister until Qin Ma came back. Qin Baobao did not feel good either. Her legs were about to break from standing, and it was very tiring to lie down. However, the psychological stimulation almost came very quickly. She lay on the bed with her legs weak, panting. Qin Baobao whispered in her brother's ear, "It feels good." Qin Zai did not say anything. He sighed helplessly and whispered back, "Let's be vulgar until the end of the spring festival." The older sister was surprised. "Why? Isn't it very safe?" Qin Zai did not want to say anything. He just shook his head. "It's safe, but you don't understand the sadness of a man not shooting an arrow. Just like how you don't understand the night, you don't understand my sadness. I'm going to take a cold shower," Qin Zai deliberately emphasized. His sister did not understand his sadness. Instead, she rolled her eyes. "Take a shower yourself and you expect me to do it with you? You're so lustful." Qin Zai went into the bathroom to take a cold shower. His body was not afraid of dying in the cold winter. The gymnastics times are calling gifted by the system was good, but it made people impulsive. Their physiological needs were magnified countless times. This was very torturous. At the very least, you should have given me a manual on the art of sex or something. That way, my sisters and I could become immortals through dual cultivation. Trash, with your status and wealth, you could be the groom every day and change the bride every night. The system was disdainful. You're drawing a circle, who's to blame? Then wouldn't it become a stallion novel? Qin Zai said. The system said. What do you mean? You want to talk to me about moral integrity? Qin Zai. I still have integrity. In this era where everyone loses their integrity, you can easily pick up a few tons when you go out, but you have no integrity at all. You can't even feel the joy of having sex. The host and the system would often quarrel with each other. Mortal. The system said. You will never understand my joy. Calculations make me happy, research makes me happy. Only foolish mortals would covet the pleasures of men and women. This guy doesn't even have a penis. He's so sour. The system was silent for a few seconds. Suddenly, a mission was thrown over. Ding! Please mate with Sister Qin Bao Bao for a full 3 hours. Delivery is guaranteed. Mission time. Before 2400 hours p.m. tonight. Failure will be counted as failure. If you succeed, you will be rewarded 200 points. If you fail, you will be deducted the same amount. Qin Zhe was caught off guard. #under Qin Zhe said angrily, I object. You are abusing your position to avenge private wrongs and randomly assign missions. I refuse to accept this mission. The system said, you are not abusing your position to avenge private wrongs. This is your desire. You don't dare to deny it, do you? Also, doing it for 3 hours doesn't mean doing it for 3 hours at once. The night is long. Lastly, your safe driving is quite safe, so this mission is not impossible. It's just that the risk is higher. Qin Zhe said, it's too long and it's not safe at night. What if my parents wake up at night? I don't care. The system said, you just need to know that this mission is legal and reasonable. Qin Zhe was speechless. The system said slowly, I'll let you know that you're still the boss. Qin Zhe gritted his teeth. I choose to give up. Sister was already very tired, and it was not good to do too much of such exciting things. After almost being caught by his mother last time, he was cheated of 200 points by the system because of similar things. A total of 300 points. What the F***ck? I endured the discomfort in my heart to act cool and earn points. Do you think it was easy? Why don't you take a look at the market? Acting cool is no longer popular. After taking a shower, Qin Ma came back with the groceries for dinner. Where's Bao Bao? Qin Ma asked. Sleeping in the room. Qin Zhe said. You didn't sleep well last night, lying on the bed as soon as you got home. Qin Ma complained. Son, let me tell you, there will be a lot of people coming to visit us this year. Don't see those you shouldn't see. Mom and Dad will help you block them. The Qin family had a Qilin and a Phoenix, and they were now famous people. It was foreseeable that those distant relatives would come to visit this year. Those who were more reserved would first try to build a relationship and improve their friendship, and then borrow money or ask for help after a while. Those who were more direct would probably ask for money. Take advantage of them. It was a traditional Chinese virtue. They could take advantage of anything. When one of their relatives became successful, they would come over to take advantage of them and ask for some benefits. When one of their friends became successful, they would also want to take advantage of them and take advantage of them. In ancient times, one should not forget one's friends when one becomes rich. In modern times, one should not forget one's brothers when one becomes successful. I'm not short of money, it's fine, Qin Zhe said. Nowadays, hundreds of thousands of yuan were no longer in Hei's king's eyes. After all, this was the national situation. If one became successful, one would be unreasonable if he did not let his relatives take advantage of him. Others would only say, wow, you're so rich now, but you don't lend a little money, you're too rude. There was another national situation. Now that the basic needs of life were met, there was no need to worry about food or clothing, but it would be difficult to go further. For example, which girl in Shanghai would be willing to live with her parents-in-law? Who would marry you if you didn't buy a house? As for buying a house, take a look at Shanghai's housing prices. Parents had to work hard for their children all their lives. Just this year, there were 3 or 4 families who came to Qin Zhe to borrow a down payment. Qin Ma chose to borrow from 2 families, but she could not afford to buy a house. Those families who were reluctant to sell their small houses and wanted to buy a big house did not lend them money. They might be criticized behind their backs. Qin Ma said, what nonsense are you talking about? Even if you're rich, you can't afford such generosity. I know that if you want to take advantage of me and ask for money, don't even think about it. If you're really in trouble, I'll still help you. It's not easy to refuse your elders. Just leave it to me and your dad. Don't say anything when you're outside. People won't be satisfied. In the future, if there's a lot of trouble from your relatives, they'll all come to you. Your grandfather was like this when he became rich. Later, your uncle was in debt and did not borrow much money from his relatives. Qinzhe took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. You and Dad can guard the door yourselves. Your relatives can't see me. Relatives were also divided into distant and close relatives. Relatives who were close by blood were like his cheating uncle. Didn't Qinzhe take him to show off and fly with him? Oh, in fact, they were not related by blood. But my future children are related by blood. Thinking about it, Qinzhe got up and walked towards the room. I'll go and see my sister. Go with the cigarette. Oh. Qinzhe put the cigarette away. He opened the door and stood at the door. His sister was holding a phone in her hand and had fallen asleep. The air conditioner was blowing warm air. Her thermal stockings had been taken off and thrown on the ground. There was also a black lace panties. Footsteps came from the corridor. It was his mother. Qinzhe made a prompt decision and kicked the stockings and panties under the bed. If his mother saw this, she would definitely pick it up and take it to the bathroom. But there were wet stains on it. His mother was experienced. Qinma stood at the door and looked at her daughter. Remember to wake your sister up later. If she sleeps too much, she won't be able to sleep at night. Qinzhe nodded. Got it. Qinma turned around and left. Qinzhe heaved a sigh of relief. That was close. His sister was still too young. Qinzhe decided to train her to be more experienced. When she woke up, he would seize the opportunity to train her. Tissue could not be thrown away, at least not in the trash can at home. Thinking of this, Qinzhe sighed for no reason. His eyes were filled with disappointment. He had lost his tissue. Just as he was thinking about the tissue, he received a message from Zhao Taizhu that night. To be precise, Zhao Taizhu had posted a poem on his WeChat moments and specially at him for him to see. Chapter 718. Zhao Taizhu's latest post in his WeChat moments. I'm in the mood to write a lewd poem while chatting. The fragrance of the red lotus leaves the jade in autumn. Taking off my robe, I get on the orchid boat alone. There was no way to get rid of this feeling. He frowned, but it came back to his heart. Li Qingzhao's Cut Plum Blossom. A masterpiece handed down from generation to generation. It was an ordinary poem. No one would find it strange after reading it. They would probably think that he was in the mood to write a poem. But this was a poem to express a woman's lovesickness. Zhao Taizhu was a straightforward man. Even if he was in the mood to write a poem, he shouldn't have posted such a poem. Besides, this guy must have been taught Chinese by a PE teacher. He couldn't even distinguish between poems and poems. The most important thing was that he specifically at him. What did he mean by posting a woman's lovesickness poem and then at him? Qinzhe certainly understood. If he didn't, he would be wasting his title as the Hei's king. So he immediately called Zhao Taizhu. It rang for a long time, but no one answered. He called again. This time it was hung up as soon as it got through. Qinzhe didn't want to give up and kept calling. I don't buy insurance, I don't buy shops, I don't care about stocks. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. As soon as the call got through, Zhao Taizhu started talking like a machine gun. Brother Taizhu, you're joking again. It's me, Qinzhe. Qinzhe's tone was very gentle. Oh, Qinzhe. Zhao Taizhu suddenly realized. Who's Qinzhe? I don't know a little wolf dog named Qinzhe. Qinzhe smiled warmly. Brother Taizhu, can you give me some pointers? How's Sister Ziwei recently? He was smiling but cursing in his heart. She's okay. I heard that she was dumped by a little wolf dog in Shanghai. After crying and throwing tantrums at home, she finally realized the reality and decided to live a good life. Zhao Taizhu said lightly. Come on. Then what's with your poem? I'm in the mood to write a poem. Why at me again? My hand slipped. Zhao Taizhu's tone was flat. Okay, don't call me if there's nothing. I'm busy and have no time to buy insurance. Goodbye. After that, Zhao Taizhu hung up. Qinzhe held his phone and let out a long sigh of relief. Although Zhao Taizhu didn't give him a good look, that sentence and the slip of his hand had revealed a lot of information. There was no way to get rid of this feeling. Just as he lowered his brows, it rose up in his heart. This sentence already explained everything. Brother Taizhu was quite loyal. It was time to make a trip to the capital. With Wang Zijin's personality, it was almost impossible for her to take the initiative to reconcile with him. What is a female hipster? A female hipster is, you are cold, heartless, and heartless. I don't want to see you again. Get lost. You're cold, you're heartless, you actually didn't come looking for me. I'll die for you right now. Scram. She was the kind of person who could suffocate herself to death. Qinzhe had already thought of this when she left Shanghai. The reason why she did not immediately follow her was because she needed to calm down. She was still angry. Secondly, he needed time to heal Sister Ziwei's wounds and ferment his longing for her. The female hipster was still angry. So what if he chased her all the way to the capital? If he could not give her a satisfactory answer, she would slap him twice and ask him to scram. Things would be even more troublesome. Once she calmed down, she would change her mind. When his sister was angry, she also had a cold war with him for half a month. Scumbag Zhe had already thought of many scenarios. Although he was caught off guard by the showdown, he did not panic. It was not a big problem. If you want to start a harem, but you don't have the domineering aura of Long Outyen, then you better think about it and play tricks. If you want to start a harem, remember to highlight the key points and write down notes. Ding! Scumbag Man's original wish. Please reconcile with Wang Zijin before the Spring Festival. If you succeed, you will be rewarded 500 points. If you fail, you will be deducted the same amount. The system's voice rang in his mind without any warning. Finally, a proper mission. The system said, just like the national football team, you don't have much time left, only 1 week. This time Qinzhe was not mischievous. It was indeed a desire from the bottom of his heart, but his original idea was to go after the Spring Festival. At the same time, he was pleasantly surprised. This meant that he had the hope to chase Wang Zijin again. According to the system's rules, it would not issue an impossible mission. Of course, it did not mean that it would be completed. It depended on his fate with Tissue. I thought you would protest the prefix of the mission. The system said. I knew you were using your power to slander me. Qinzhe gritted his teeth. I'm just telling the truth. Thinking about the mission in his mind, he was worried. At night, he received a message from Suyu. Hubby, it's the holidays. I have nothing to do. I'm moldy at home. Let's do something we love. It's not convenient. Qinzhe replied. What's not convenient? It's only 20 minutes away. I'm not in the mood today. There's still a long way to go. No hurry. Qinzhe tactfully rejected the request of the harem concubine, indicating that he would not do it tonight. My surname is Suyu. My courtesy name is Feng Chang. Suyu said. Qinzhe sighed helplessly. Sure enough, Suyu's style had collapsed. This was not the world's fault. It was his fault. The next morning, while his parents were in the living room and his sister was in the boudoir, Qinzhe wanted to say something but stopped several times. Finally, he made up his mind. Sister, I may have to go to the capital. Qin Baobao thought that he came in to drive safely. After hearing this, the smile on his sister's face gradually disappeared. She did not look ferocious, just expressionless. For a while, the room was filled with silent air. After a long time, his sister with her back to him said in a flat tone, Traveling to the capital during the new year, right? Qinzhe paused for a second and then said, yeah. How long will you be gone? A week. Oh. You agree? Qinzhe stared at his sister's back. She sat on the bed and did not turn around, so Qinzhe could not see her expression. It's just a trip. Why not? His sister's tone was calm. Don't stay too late. It's best if you can come back on New Year's Eve. Qinzhe nodded. And Qin Baobao still did not turn around, but her tone was a little anxious and serious. You're not allowed to bring anyone back. Okay. Nodding with difficulty, Qinzhe suddenly realized something. They were once close friends, desk mates for 3 years, and sisters who could sleep on the same bed for half a year. They might never be able to go back to the past. His sister did not want that woman called Wang Zijin to return to Shanghai and step into this house again. It was because of her mistake that she almost lost her true love. Time passed. A year and a half of getting along with each other still seemed to be in front of her eyes, but the time of the past could not be reappeared. What had happened, just like how things that were broken could never be mended. What about Wang Zijin? Was she still willing to return to Shanghai? What kind of attitude would she have to face her former best friend? Thinking of this, Qin Zai's heart sank. Qin Zai's afternoon flight left. The plane's engine roared like thunder, leaving a white trail in the blue sky. At night, Qin Ma mentioned this at the dinner table. How's the old man of the Wang family? A said that he was sent to the emergency room. Zijin must be crying her heart out. In the past, Wang Zijin had mentioned to Mrs. Qin that she had grown up under her grandfather's care. The grandfather and granddaughter were very close. Now Qin Ma and the old man already knew about Wang Zijin's family background. When they first heard about it, they were shocked. They did not expect their daughter's best friend, son's girlfriend, and future daughter-in-law to be a noble from the capital. The third generation of the Qin family were good people, but the 18th generation and above were bumpkins. Obviously, they were not good enough for the girl. Fortunately, Qin Zai did not disappoint. Although he was still suspected of trying to climb up the social ladder, he would not be called a toad wanting to eat swan meat. If it was in the past, Qin Ma would kneel to Wang Zijin without hesitation. She would cry and say, "Princess, are you blind? Please let my son go. After all, I'm old. I have to face the problems that I have to face." The old man sighed and said, "You don't have to worry. Old Master Wang will be on the news in the future. He has a professional medical team to take care of his health." At this point, the old man looked at his daughter. "Bao Bao, what's Zijin's phone number again? Our Ace has also visited her parents. Old Master Wang is critically ill. It's only right for us to call and ask about it. It's not good for others to think that we're uncultured." Qin Bao Bao was not in a good mood. Her eyes were listless and she was in a state of emptiness. When she heard this, she finally came back to her senses and waved her hands. No need, no need." Qin Ma frowned. "I think that old Qin has a point. There's really no need." Qin Bao Bao lowered her head and ate. "Don't bother about it. She's a housewife and a university professor. Why are you butting in? They're relatives of the royal family." She thought to herself, what will happen after this call? Maybe Ace will be arrested and thrown into jail as soon as he gets off the plane. Maybe he will be sentenced to life imprisonment or something. The reason is that he maliciously cursed, the country's leader. It doesn't feel bad. Then the little red guy and the wolf in the house would be finished. Qin Bao Bao was ready to make a move. Chapter 719. Qin Zai had been to capital city several times. When he was young, he thought that the road in front of Tiananmen Square was huge and unbelievably spacious. Now that he looked at it again, he felt that it was not that impressive. As a person from Magic City, he should have the confidence and pride to look down on the infrastructure of cities in the country. In fact, capital city's infrastructure was not outstanding among the first-tier cities. However, as long as you walked around and looked around, you would be able to deeply experience the accumulation and vicissitudes of history. This was what Qin Bao said. Qin Zai did not have time to look at the city in detail. He hailed a taxi at the airport and went straight to the Wang family. Capital City was not his territory, and his business scope had not expanded to this place. He could not expect to have a car to pick him up. Moreover, it was the Spring Festival holiday, so it was not easy to find an attendant. Nan Man Pei was right. His ability was too shallow after all. If the world was compared to a pyramid, the top was for politics, the bottom was for business, and there were many more below. Creatures like the programmer ape should be at the bottom. I was a programmer in the past and I'm still a programmer now. It's just that I've changed from programming to writing words. The place where a bunch of people at the top of the pyramid lived was not something he could enter. Qin Zai was naturally stopped outside by the guards. They were different from the security guards in other residential areas. Their uniforms were more exquisite, their posture was straighter, and their expressions were more determined. Most importantly, the things on their waists were authentic. Without a guide, outsiders could not enter. If one lingered outside the door for too long, they would be arrested and questioned as suspicious persons. In the sentry booth, Qin Zai blew on the heater. He shuddered and could not help but curse. It's so *king cold in the north. After standing outside for half an hour, he was arrested. Qin Zhe could not contact Wang Zijin for the time being, so he called Zhao Taizhu. However, Zhao Taizhu did not pick up. It was obvious that he had developed the bad habit of ignoring him like the system. He stood outside in the cold wind thinking about what to do. After a moment of carelessness, 2 guards came over to question him. Fortunately, with his face there was no problem with swiping his card. After the serious guard saw Hei's King's true face, he believed that he had no ulterior motives and brought him back to the sentry post to warm himself up. 5 minutes at most. We have rules, the middle-aged guard said. How about this, why don't you help me contact the Wang clan? Qin Zhe rubbed his nose and said, I am the son-in-law of the Wang clan, trust me. The winter in the capital was cold and dry. If one stayed there for too long, their nose would feel uncomfortable. The clothes he was wearing were standard in Shanghai, which was obviously not acceptable in Beijing. His mask was not the kind that could keep out the cold. It was especially cold in Beijing this year. The lowest temperature during the day was -8 degrees Celsius, while the lowest temperature at night was -13 degrees Celsius. It would be even colder in late January. See, Swamp King's body could not bear it anymore. We know. We've seen it online, a young guard said. As one of the most popular young stars in the entertainment industry, his girlfriend's exposure had caused a sensation on the internet. Unless your family had just connected to the internet, you would have heard of it. And the reason why the guards knew about it was because the female lead in the photo was the daughter of the Wang family, and she lived there. When the guards chatted with each other, it was inevitable that they would talk about it after dinner. Of course, there was no problem with Qin Zhe's request. The guards only knew that the daughter of the Wang clan and Qin Zhe were in a relationship, but they did not know about their quarrel. The middle-aged guard asked, Why don't you call her? Why don't you ask her to come out and pick you up? Qin Zhe smiled bitterly. We quarreled and she ignored me. So that was it. Several guards suddenly understood. So they contacted the Wang clan. A moment later, the Wang clan replied that they did not know Qin Zhe. This was King awkward. Several guards looked at Qin Zhe sympathetically. In this kind of phenomenon where a man married a woman from a lower family, it was inevitable that the man would be angered by his wife. After marrying the daughter of a rich family, he would worship her like a bodhisattva. He would be her husband and grandson. The corners of Qin Zhe's mouth twitched awkwardly. Unable to stand the guard's gaze, he forced a smile. Forget it, I'll go back first and come back tomorrow. Can I trouble you to help me inform her again? The middle-aged guard said that it was no problem. As long as he did not violate the rules, he could do anything within the scope of his job. After leaving the sentry post, he smoked a cigarette outside and thought about checking into a hotel first before going to the mall to buy a few winter coats. Qin Zhe was ready for a long battle. He did not consider the 7 days time limit given by the mission. Compared to the 500 points, he was more concerned about Wang Zijin. The hotel had been booked in advance, and the plane tickets were also booked by someone. It was his sister's assistant, the ordinary-looking female assistant. The assistant was really stubborn, or rather she had a grudge against him. When Qin Zhe called to inform her to book the plane tickets and hotel, the assistant, who claimed to be highly educated, retorted, Mr. Qin, it's a holiday now, which means it's not normal working hours. I'm on vacation. By the way, a highly educated person was a graduate from a famous school in the United States. Qin Zhe replied, Oh, I'm really sorry. By the way, come back after the new year to write your resignation letter. After a moment of silence, the assistant said, Mr. Qin, you can't do this. You're violating the labor contract. Qin Zhe said, Yes, I have a lot of money. I can afford it. The assistant's backbone was limited to those few words. She quickly gave in. Mr. Qin, I'll book the plane tickets for you now. As for the hotel, you'll need one in the capital. Qin Zhe said, That's very sensible of you. Have you become stupid after staying in the United States for a few years? Are you talking to me about democracy and freedom? Why don't you learn from the good and learn from the bad? Do you understand the situation in China? After a few seconds of silence, the assistant said in an aggrieved voice, Got it, Mr. Qin. Oh. After smoking a cigarette, Qin Zhe put on his mask and called for a taxi with his mobile app. At this moment, a BMW drove out. It was not expensive and was a means of transportation that even a small bourgeois could afford. It obviously did not match the status of the people living in this place. There were 2 young men and women in the car. Qinzhe knew them. They were Wang Zijin's cousin and cousin. What's their name again? Qinzhe forgot. When Wang Zining saw that Qinzhe was about to leave, he immediately honked twice. When Qinzhe stood still and looked back, he stopped the car and got out of the driver's seat. He strode over aggressively. You still have the cheek to come? Wang Zining glared at him. That's right. Yang Ping followed behind and echoed. Qinzhe looked at him. Why wouldn't I have the cheek to come? You know very well what you've done, Wang Zining said. What have I done? Qinzhe probed. Wang Zining was speechless and then became furious. Are you going to leave or I'll ask someone to beat you up? Qinzhe was relieved. It seemed that Sister Ziwei didn't spread the news about him and her sister. She didn't even tell her family what happened in Shanghai. That was right. She wouldn't tell anyone. Wang Zining took a deep breath and said, Qin Haodong, I'm warning you. Don't come to my sister again or I'll kill you. Do you think you're the king just because you wrote a few songs and made a few movies? I have 100 ways to make you unable to stay in the capital, and you can't do anything about it. Don't be so shameless. If I didn't know your surname is Wang, I would have thought your name is Yi Liangchen. Qinzhe thought that the other party was Sister Xian's cousin, which meant that he was his brother-in-law. His brother-in-law's existence was to stand up for his sister when she was wronged and fight with her in-laws on behalf of her family. He was indeed the one who owed Wang Zijin money. He deserved to be scolded by his brother-in-law. He was silent and didn't refute. Yang Ping rolled her eyes and smiled. Qinzhe, why don't you tell us what happened between you and your cousin? We can help you when we go back. Qinzhe still didn't say anything. This time there was a hint of disdain in his eyes. If he remembered correctly, this girl didn't give him any face when he first stepped into the house. Wang Zijin said that she and Zhang Ling from the Zhang family were like sisters. Therefore it was natural for them to become a couple. Alright, what was her name again? You kids don't know about adult matters. Qinzhe looked at Wang Zining. I'll come back tomorrow. Wait. Yang Ping sneered. Qinzhe, it was actually my cousin who asked us to come out. Qinzhe stopped and looked back at her. Yang Ping said slowly, my cousin will give you 2 choices. 1, you'll stand here until tomorrow morning. If she's not angry anymore, she'll come out and meet you. 2, if you can't do it, go back to Shanghai and don't come to the capital. Wang Zining looked at her and wanted to say something but stopped. Qinzhe was silent for a moment. Go home and tell your cousin that I'll come back tomorrow. Yang Ping took 2 steps forward and said loudly, Qinzhe, you dare to leave. Qinzhe turned around and said helplessly, if you want to sow discord, why don't you think of a better excuse? Cousin-in-law has eaten more salt than the men you've slept with. Don't play tricks in front of me. Alright, cousin, what's your name again? Cousin-in-law has a bad habit. I can't remember the names of girls who aren't beautiful. Yang Ping's face was ashen. Her eyes flickered. Seeing that her prank didn't work, she said, my cousin didn't say anything. She didn't even care about you. When she heard that you came, she turned around and went back to her room. Think about it again. What will I say about you when I go back? What bad things will I say about you in front of my cousin? Will she believe it? Qinzhe said lightly. It doesn't matter if she believes it or not. It's fine as long as uncle and aunt believe it. It's fine as long as grandfather believes it. Yang Ping smiled. If you anger uncle and aunt, guess what will happen to you? Women were really born schemers. Qinzhe said, what do you want to say? Or rather, what do you want to do? Chapter 720. A smile appeared on Yang Ping's face. It's very simple. Go back to Shanghai. Since you've broken up, don't come back. It's not that I don't like you. Actually, everyone in the Wang family doesn't like you. Am I right, Zining? Wang Zining snorted, showing that he didn't bother to answer. He didn't have a good impression of Qinzhe. In fact, he even hated him a little. Qinzhe's likes and dislikes all depended on his cousin. If his cousin liked him, then Wang Zining would reluctantly like him. If his cousin didn't like him, then Wang Zining wouldn't give him a good face. Qinzhe pondered for a moment. You're too decisive, Yang Ping. What do you mean? Qinze said seriously. Shouldn't you take out a blank check, slap it on my face and then say, as long as you leave Wang Zijin, you can fill in the money on it? Yang Ping was stunned at first, then she became even more disdainful. She sneered. You're really interested in our Wang family's wealth. Qinze, yes. Zijin is the granddaughter of the first wife. Give me a blank check and I'll leave. Yang Ping, I don't have a check but my mother does. The Wang family doesn't lack this money. What are you talking about if you don't have a check? Qinze rolled his eyes. Did you graduate from university? Did you have a job? Did you get first place in your school? You didn't earn money and didn't become an official. You think you're an adult just because you slept with a few men and learned a few postures? Kid, I'm too lazy to care about you. Why don't you look in the mirror and see how much you're worth? Let your parents come out and talk to me. After that he muttered. Deepwell Ice, you've been arguing with a kid for so long. He turned and walked away. What's so great about being an official's son? If it weren't for the environment, I would have beaten up all the rich kids and hooked up with all kinds of big bosses. Together with the system's black technology, I can induce all the politicians to kneel down and suck up to me. He was not afraid that the two children would say bad things about him. As the saying goes, time reveals a person's true nature. He knew Sister Ziwei very well. When she was with him, she could ignore her family's thoughts and opinions. Similarly, if she separated from him, it would not be because of other people's slander. As for the elders of the Wang family, he didn't know about Mother Wang, but he had a conversation with Father Wang as a son-in-law. Father Wang wasn't a short-sighted man. As for the other elders, who cares about them? In this day and age, even parents can't make decisions, let alone relatives. Yang Ping stomped her feet and screamed, Qinze, get back here. Obviously, it was impossible for him to come back. Yang Ping was angry for a while. She turned her head and saw her cousin smoking beside her. He looked like he was enjoying the show. She was furious and kicked him lightly. Why didn't you say anything just now? Did you just watch your cousin get bullied? Wang Zining spat out a mouthful of smoke and rolled his eyes. Didn't we agree to drive him away? You're being a busybody. But seriously, second cousin, don't mess around. It's not certain what's going on between cousin and him. Even if there's no Qinze, I don't think she'll like brother Mingcheng. You're wrong. Cousin has too little experience in love, and is blinded by the outside world. That's why she doesn't understand how good brother Mingcheng is. When she's hurt, loved and tired, she'll realize that brother Mingcheng is the one she can entrust her life to. Didn't you always follow behind brother Mingcheng when you were young? Don't you want them to be together? Wang Zining scratched his head. I feel like brother Mingcheng's image has collapsed after you said that. He's become a spare tire. What spare tire? This is love after going through ups and downs. It's beautiful, Yang Ping retorted. Men and women had different values. Many women who had spare tires didn't feel that what they did was bad. They even felt that it was normal. It was just like how men felt that they could have sex everywhere, but dreamed of marrying a virgin as their wife. After arguing for a while, no one convinced the other. Yang Ping was angry again. Coward, why were you so cowardly just now? Wang Zining was not convinced. I'm not cowardly. I'm just too lazy to talk to him. Excuses. You don't know. Last year when Dad and I went to the airport to pick them up, I was just like you. Then he said, Zhang Ling doesn't like me because of her brother. Why are you? Wang Zining recalled. I ignored him. Do you know what he said? Yang Ping frowned and shook her head. Wang Zining looked like he had eaten shit. For the tribe. Wang Zining said helplessly, Sister Ziwei's boyfriend is very cheap. Don't think you can take advantage of him. He's thick-skinned. It's useless even if you do. Look at me. I've learned from my mistakes. I'm too lazy to argue with him. When I see him, I'll scold him and then ignore him. This makes me feel good. Do you know what Grandpa said about him when he talked to Mom in private? Wang Zining deliberately paused. Conceited. Grandpa said that he's more conceited than any young man he's ever seen. Any young man who knows his past is at most neither servile nor overbearing. But Grandpa saw that unreasonable conceit in his eyes. Of course he was conceited. Other people's combo attacks could cause more than 100 damage, but a cheat's attack could cause 999 damage. Old Master Wang could see Qin Zai's conceited side in a short exchange. His eyesight was already very sharp. Wang Zining changed the topic and muttered, "So you're still showing off in front of him. You're being looked down upon. It's so embarrassing." Yang Ping. The siblings turned the car around. It took a few minutes to drive from the entrance to the house. When they reached home, Wang Zijin, who was idle at home, sat in the living room and chatted with Old Master Wang. The whole family was basically there. The higher the position, the less time they had for holidays. In the entire Wang family, only the eldest son, Wang Chengfu, was working outside during the new year. Second uncle Wang and the son-in-law of the Wang family were not there. Although they were not working, they could not stand being mocked by Old Master Wang in the living room. Indeed, they were useless. Second uncle Wang was a middle-aged man, and the two son-in-law were slightly better, but their careers were difficult. In a big family like the Wang family, not being outstanding was the biggest failure. Now they were relying on Old Master Wang. It was foreseeable that when Old Master Wang passed away, the Wang family's status would drop greatly. In fact, it was not just the Wang family. Many meritorious families were facing such an awkward situation. I've climbed too high, and there are few second-generation officials who can surpass me. Wang Chengfu was already considered an outstanding junior, and he could keep his position. But after Wang Chengfu, Old Master Wang's biggest regret was that his granddaughter was not a man, and her biggest regret was that she had no intention of pursuing an official career. Because of that young man in Shanghai, Wang Zijin gave up the idea of pursuing an official career in capital city. She wanted to marry into Shanghai City. "Grandpa, your appetite is getting worse. Before I left last year you could still eat some fruits, but now you don't even touch them," Wang Zijin said softly. She used a toothpick to poke a piece of cut apple and sent it to Old Master Wang's mouth. Old Master Wang shook his head. "I'm old. My teeth are not good and my appetite is even worse. I don't like to eat these hard things." Wang Zijin took the opportunity to pick a grape. "Then have a grape." Old Master Wang smiled and took it. Thinking of the young man outside, his heart was gloomy. Ever since his granddaughter came back, she was spiritless. For the first few days, she locked herself in her room and only woke up at noon. However, she had no appetite and would be distracted while eating at the table. Every day, Old Master Wang's heart ached when he saw her forced smile and haggard appearance. Something must have happened to her when she suddenly came home. She would not say anything even if he asked her. Even if he asked, she would just shake her head and say, "Nothing." She did not even bother to respond to her aunt and uncle's questions. The group of friends in her circle often came to visit her. They all knew that she had fallen out of love, but they could not get anything out of her. Thus, they imagined a rumor of a rich girl eloping with a poor boy, and then being abandoned. This rumor spread widely in a few small circles. After a few days, her complexion became better and her complexion returned to normal. Everyone thought that she had struggled out of the twists and turns of her relationship. However, Old Master Wang knew that the spirit in his granddaughter's eyes had dissipated. She would be distracted while talking. It was not that she had broken free, but that she had hidden it in her heart. If Old Master Wang still had the bad temper he had 10 years ago, he would have sent someone to deal with that brat long ago, just like when he held a gun to Zhao Cheju's father's head. After almost a month, that brat finally came. As he was thinking, Wang Zining and Yang Ping entered the house. As soon as Wang Zining entered the house, he ran to Wang Zijin's side and said flatteringly, "Sister, I helped you drive him away." Wang Zijin's face was expressionless. Seeing this, Yang Ping immediately complained, "That brat was crazy. We asked him to leave, but he was not convinced. He said that I was a brat with no money and no power. How could I be qualified to talk to him? He asked the adults at home to talk to him." In the living room, the adults secretly frowned. Wang Zijin pretended not to hear. She lowered her head and helped her grandfather peel grapes. Old Master Wang squinted his eyes. No one could tell whether he was happy or angry. Yang Ping continued, "He even asked me to give him a check. He said that he would not leave without a check." Mother Wang frowned. "He wanted a check?" Little Aunt Wang Lingyan scoffed. "You're so short-sighted. Like I said, how can a lad with no roots and no background be worthy of Zijin? Can they be happy if they don't match?" You will suffer if you don't listen to your elders. The last sentence was a complaint for Wang Zijin. Second Aunt Wang Linghua glared at her daughter saying, "Don't talk nonsense. That brat doesn't look like such a person." Yang Ping's voice was full of fuss. "I'm not talking nonsense. Mom, you don't understand. The last time he came, of course, he had to pretend to be a decent person. Now that he has fallen out with cousin, and cousin is ignoring him, he wants to get more benefits from the Wang family. This kind of person is not as good as brother Mingcheng." After trampling on Qin Zhe, she praised Zhang Mingcheng. "Brother Mingcheng comes to visit sister Ziwei every day. He only came now. Maybe it's because he was bullied and finally remembered cousin. Oh right, Zining, you were there too." Wang Zining wanted to follow up on his cousin's words. Coincidentally, old Master Wang opened his eyes and looked at him. Hence, he shrunk his neck subconsciously and said in a low voice, "You were the one who asked him to stand outside until tomorrow." Wang Zijin suddenly raised her head and stared at him. Being betrayed out of the blue, the elders looked over. Yang Ping said angrily, "I just wanted to test him." Who knew that he was not sincere at all? Chapter 721. Bam! A grape hit Yang Ping's face. It was Wang Zijin. She seemed to be still angry. She grabbed the bunch of grapes and threw them all at Yang Ping. Yang Ping was stunned and forgot to dodge. Wang Zijin stood up. The granddaughter of the Wang family, who had been depressed in front of the elders for a month, was finally like an enraged tigress. She said fiercely, "If I see you playing tricks again, don't spend the new year in the Wang family this year. Is he short of money? He can kill you with a check." The living room suddenly quieted down. After a few seconds, Yang Ping, who had obviously rarely suffered such grievances, burst into tears. She shouted, "Why? This isn't just your home." The crying broke the silence. Wang Lingyan defended her niece. "Zijin, can you act like a cousin? How can you talk like that? You're already an adult." Wang Zijin snorted and raised her hand. "I'll hit you if you cry again." Yang Ping stopped crying and couldn't help but look at her mother. Second Aunt Wang Linghua had a weak personality and looked helpless. Look at her. Sister-in-law, you should teach her more." Wang Lingyan looked at Mother Wang. "Zijin, you're too much. How can you say that?" Second Aunt Wang scolded. "I can't even control her, let alone teach her. She has never listened to me since she was young." Mother Wang also complained. When Wang Zijin was young, the relationship between the couple was not good. Mother Wang often went back to her mother's house. Wang Qingfu was busy with work and had no time to take care of his daughter. Of course, there was a nanny at home. However, it was too pitiful for a child to be with a nanny. So, Grandfather Wang brought Wang Zijin to the military compound. After a few years, the relationship between Wang Qingfu and his wife improved. When he brought his daughter back, she was no longer obedient and was not close to her parents. "Are you blaming me for not teaching her well?" Grandfather Wang glanced at his daughter and daughter-in-law. The latter two immediately kept quiet out of fear. Grandfather Wang frowned and said, "You didn't study well, but you learned a lot of dirty tricks. How did your father teach you? Your father is useless, and so is your daughter." He didn't look at his granddaughter, but everyone knew what he meant. Yang Ping felt even more wronged. She didn't dare to talk back. Old Master Wang had accumulated a lot of power and influence. Not to mention her. Even her father felt like he was treading on thin ice in front of this old father-in-law. In the Wang family, Wang Qingfu was the only one who could talk nicely with his father and talk back at him. Wang Lingyan felt wronged and said, "Dad, why are you so biased? Ping Ping is doing this for Zijin's sake. How can there be someone like you? Your whole family is useless, and only your eldest granddaughter is." Old Man Wang snorted. "You're the most useless of all. I used to teach you guys that everything should be done in a straight line. Did you do it? Zijin is the only one in the family. Remember this. You've all wasted your generation on her. You're all good for nothings." Wang Zijin said, "Grandpa, I didn't drive in a straight line." Old Master Wang said that it was normal to take a turn occasionally. What else could he say? He could only remain silent. Old Master Wang had been biased towards Wang Zijin for more than 20 years. Everyone was used to it. No one mentioned Qin Zhe. Wang Zijin saw that the atmosphere wasn't good. She said, Grandpa, let me help you back to your room. Old Master Wang had a personal assistant, but unlike those old leaders, he was only in his 70s. His body was strong and didn't have many problems. He didn't need a personal assistant to serve him 24/7. He gave the assistant a holiday during the new year. When they went upstairs, Wang Zijin said softly, "Grandpa, I want to go to work." His body stiffened. This old man who had once commanded the world for decades had tears in his eyes. Wang Zijin nervously called out, "Grandpa." Old Master Wang waved his hand and exhaled. "I've been waiting for you to say this. Zijin, you've made me wait for so many years. But it's not too late, not too late. Your father is talented, but he's stubborn. He has obvious shortcomings and doesn't know how to compromise with others. As for your second uncle, he's a mediocre person. There's no need to talk about him. As for your two uncles, they're willing to study, but their talents are a bit lacking. In your generation, Xining's personality isn't suitable for politics, and Pingping's eyes are too shallow. Grandpa can only count on you." In the words of the old man, Wang Zijin was a good seedling for a political career. She had a smooth way of talking to people, but she also had a sense of righteousness. She did not lack in conspiracies and overt plots. Perhaps she was still a bit immature, but she would grow quickly after being thrown into politics for a couple of years. After he was done being happy, the old man said in a deep voice, "That Qin Zhe." Wang Zijin said, "Grandpa, you don't have to worry about this." "I don't care." Old Master Wang sighed. "I can't be bothered. Think about it yourself." Wang Zijin was silent. He was referring to her parents. Wang Qingfu used more than 10 years of Cold War and stubbornness to resist a second child to make a silent protest against his father. Old Master Wang often wondered if Wang Zijin's childhood would have been happier if he had agreed to the divorce back then and dissolved the marriage that had been arranged by her parents. The next day, Qin Zhe came again. He wore a coat, a mask, and a hat to ward off the cold. He was even warmer than the people in the capital. He was prepared for a long battle. First, he asked the guards to contact the Wang family. As expected, they didn't let him in. Then he spent his time here calling every hour. Later, the guards seemed to have been scolded and stopped helping him. In the evening, the sky turned dark and he left. His back was lonely. On the third day, he was squatting by the roadside smoking when a domineering Land Rover stopped beside him. Zhao Taizhu jumped down with a cigarette in his mouth and scolded everyone he saw. "Damn little wolf dog, you really dare to come. Aren't you afraid I'll chop you up and bury you in the palace?" Qin Zhe glanced sideways. "Then I'll definitely be buried under the dragon throne." Zhao Taizhu scolded, spat out the cigarette, and kicked fiercely. Qin Zhe jumped to the side and dodged. He warned, "Zhao Taizhu, have you forgotten that I'm the successor of the Exploding Heavens faction? Have you forgotten my Kylin arm? If we really fight, you can't beat me." Son of a B****. Zhao Taizhu thought about it and said angrily, "Don't fight back if you have the guts." "Okay. If hitting me can help you vent your anger, I'll admit defeat." Qin Zhe nodded. Zhao Taizhu pounced fiercely. "I'll F***king kill you." Bam! In the next second, he was kicked away by Qin Zhe. The man, who was more than 170 pounds, flew a few meters and lay on the ground moaning. Fortunately, Qin Zhe used his strength skillfully. Otherwise, he would have died. "Damn you little wolf dog, you really dared to hit me." Zhao Taizhu looked pained. "I didn't hit you, I hit you with my foot," Qin Zhe said. "I F***king. If I knew, I wouldn't have come to see you." Zhao Taizhu was unconvinced and scolded. "Do you know how many people want to hit you?" In the past, all the boys from the military compound secretly liked Wang Zijin. Not only was a good cabbage taken by a pig like you, but she was also abandoned. "Zhang Mingqing wants to kill you, do you know that? If you let me hit you a few times, I'll help you say a few words. Damn it, help me, it hurts. I've been here for 3 days and I haven't seen you come to see me." Qin Zhe walked over and reached out to help him. "You're not a member of the Wang family. What right do you have to meddle? Don't get physical with me, idiot. Do you have a woman outside?" Zhao Taizhu sat down against the Land Rover and took a puff of his cigarette. He grimaced and rubbed his belly. Qin Zhe also had a cigarette in his mouth and sat beside him. "Don't try to trick me. First prove that you're an ally." Zhao Taizhu wanted to slap him, but unfortunately it was blocked. Did that poem of mine turn white? Qin Zhe was silent for a moment. How did you guess it? Nonsense, it's a trivial matter between a man and a woman. Either the woman cuckolded the man, or the man found a mistress outside. Zhao Taizhu sneered from his nostrils. I've been there before. Yeah, you also cuckolded your sister-in-law. Are you qualified to hit me? Qin Zhe rolled his eyes. I've changed now. I've already cut off contact with those flirtatious sluts. It's your kidney that's weak. King. Zhao Taizhu wanted to hit him again. Fortunately, the scar hadn't healed, so he didn't forget the pain. I guess it's not as simple as sleeping with a woman. It's just a big sword and a mistress. Zijin won't come back in a fit of anger. You've fallen in love. Qin Zhe was speechless. Zhao Taizhu spat. Scumbag. I admit that I'm a scumbag, but you're an old scumbag who's slept with more women than I've watched movies. What right do you have to criticize me? I regret it now. I should have stopped you in the beginning. Zhang Mingqing is better. Oh, Zhang Mingqing has never slept with a woman in his life, right? It's different. Come on, he's in the same circle as you. You have a mistress and a mistress outside. How good can he be? Can you guarantee that he won't touch other women in the future? Zhao Taizhu had nothing to say this time. He added, that's why I agreed to you two being together. Feelings are between two people. Bah, scumbag. Seeing that Qin Zhe didn't speak, he stared and said, did you break it off? Qin Zhe nodded immediately. Yes, I'll only love Sister Ziwei in my life. He would confess to Wang Zijin about his sister, but only to Wang Zijin. No one, including Zhao Taizhu, could hear the truth. He couldn't possibly tell everyone. No, I'm still in love with another woman. This time, I just want to have a foot in two boats and bring Sister Zian back. Everyone here is a good person. Please fulfill my small wish. Isn't he being too stubborn? Is he courting death? Chapter 722. As if I'd believe you. Zhao Taizhu snorted and took a deep puff. Red light flashed and the cigarette was reduced by a third at a speed visible to the naked eye. After exhaling a long puff of smoke, Zhao Taizhu raised his eyebrows at Qin Zhe as if he was showing off. Did you see that? Your brother used to be a soldier. My body is in good shape. My kidney doesn't exist. Qin Zhe looked down at the cigarette and took a puff too. But a prodigal son turning over a new leaf is more precious than gold. When you're young you can have fun. Now that you're old you should take care of your family and your wife. You can't find another coquettish slut. Zhao Taizhu stared at him blankly. The cigarette in Qin Zhe's mouth was emptied in an instant. Zhao Taizhu was speechless. My kidney is just so. Qin Zhe pretended to be tough and asked curiously, since you don't believe me, why did you help me? Zhao Taizhu didn't answer. After a moment of silence he said helplessly, it's all for Zijin. Although this girl was smart when she was young, we called her sister because of our friendship when we were young. In fact, we all see her as a younger sister now. People are smart, but no matter how smart they are, they've never been in a relationship and lack experience. It's easy for them to make a wrong decision because of a momentary lapse in thought. That will be a knot in their heart for most of their lives. She still can't forget you. Although you're a scumbag, I think you're better than Wang Zijin by a little bit. That guy really likes Wang Zijin, but no matter how much he likes her, it's not pure. With Wang Zijin's family background and ability, she's most suitable to be the young mistress of the Zhang family. For a big family like ours, we have to consider a lot of things. It's hard to choose a marriage partner based on pure love. Zai, why am I talking to a commoner like you about this? Zhao Tieju's tone was full of superiority when he said the last sentence. Qin Zhe's face twitched. I'm sorry. Forgive me, I'm just a commoner. Although there's nothing wrong with that, of course, you have to choose the most suitable partner. But do you know why I didn't oppose you too when I saw you in Shanghai? I don't know. Although you're a scumbag. Can you not mention scumbags? Qin Zhe tried very hard to suppress the boiling primitive power. It's okay for others to say that I'm a scumbag, but what qualifications do you, an old driver, have to despise me with a superior attitude? Fine, I won't hit you in the face when I hit you, and I won't expose you when I'm scolding you. I'll leave you some face. Zhao Taizhu said. It's because your love for Zijin isn't mixed with too many benefits. When she brought you to see me for the first time, I could tell that you were resistant in your heart. You even felt a little embarrassed, so you crushed the bone porcelain cup in front of me. Although it was a little childish, I quite admired it. You're very confident. You're confident that you don't need to rely on women to survive. Wang Zijin can't understand the confidence and resistance of this kind of man. I heard that the core technology of your new gaming device was stolen. Piracy is everywhere now. Everyone thinks that you came to Shanghai because you were bullied and came back to suck up to the Wang family. You don't think so? Qin Zhe looked at him curiously. In his heart he thought, Brother Taiju is my soulmate? Of course not. You came to Beijing because I hinted to you. Otherwise you'd still be hiding in Shanghai. Zhao Taiju patted him on the shoulder. I still admire you. You have a bright future. You're not like the wind rising, soaring up 90,000 miles into the sky. Don't think that I don't know the meaning of this sentence. I said it 800 years ago. Qin Zhe rolled his eyes and slapped his arm away. Then why don't you go to Sister Ziwei and plead for me? I won't. Isn't that asking for a scolding? Zhao Taiju refused. Then you'll bring me to the Wang family? Qin Zhe changed his words. I won't. Isn't that asking for a beating? Zhao Taiju still refused. Qin Zhe was stunned. Then why are you here? What's the use of being an ally? Zhao Taiju said. I'm here to watch the show. You continue acting. This is the ultimate move of a scumbag husband. Qin Zhe. Zhao Taiju got up and patted his butt. I'll go in and play with Zijin first. You take your time. The winter in Beijing is pretty good, right? Qin Zhe chased after the Land Rover and knocked on the car window. Hey, you tricked me into coming here. Are you going to just stand by and watch? Zhao Taiju said. Bah, scumbag. I tricked you with my ability. Why should I take responsibility? The Land Rover drove away. Qin Zhe was stopped outside by the guards. *CKU Zhao Taiju. Not long after Zhao Taiju left, a car with the logo that Qin Zhe couldn't recognize slowly drove over. Through the front windshield he saw the man sitting inside. Wang Qingfu, Wang Zijin's father and his future father-in-law. Qin Zhe subconsciously straightened his back. However, the car brushed past him without any hesitation. His future father-in-law didn't seem to have seen him. That's right, he was wearing a mask. On the other side, Zhao Taiju entered the Wang family's house without any hindrance. He parked the car in the Wang family's courtyard and went straight to the main hall. Old Master Wang was the old chief of Zhao Tieju's father. Zhao Taiju was Wang Zijin's lackey in elementary and middle school. He didn't even need the guards to tell him to come in. He came and went as he pleased. The Wang family gathered in the hall. The nanny was preparing lunch in the kitchen. Zhao Taiju entered the hall and saw Old Master Wang lying on the rocking chair with his eyes closed. He immediately straightened his posture and behaved properly. He stepped into the living room and shouted, Old Master! Old Master Wang opened his eyes and said with a pleasant expression, Yes. Mother Wang smiled. Zhao Biao, have you eaten? Zhao Taiju said calmly. No, I'm here to scrounge for food. Oh right, Zijin, I bumped into Qin Zhe at the door. Hey, he was beaten up by me. He was crying and begging for mercy. Yang Ping's eyes lit up. She was very excited. Well done. Wang Zining was also happy. Brother Taiju, you should have come earlier. The adults in the house shook their heads and laughed. Wang Zijin glanced at him. Did you hit him too hard? Of course it's heavy. I'm crying. Zhao Taiju snorted. I did it for you. If you're still angry, I'll beat him up again when we get out. Wang Zijin said. Oh. She took out a bottle of Yunnan Baiyao and threw it to him. Wipe it. Okay. Zhao Taiju took off his jacket and rolled up his inner shirt. His lower abdomen was bruised. He grimaced as he wiped it. It really hurts. I almost lost my life. Yang Ping and Wang Zining were dumbfounded. Yang Ping's face fell. Brother Taiju, you can't beat him? Zhao Taiju shook his head. I let him win. After all, it's not good to bully the weak. Wang Zijin rolled her eyes. After applying the medicine, he sat beside Wang Zijin and gently elbowed Sister Ziwei's slender waist. The latter glared at him. He's still outside. Tell me if he's dead or alive. Zhao Taizhu lowered his voice. It's none of my business whether he's dead or alive. Wang Zijin kept a straight face. Well, it seemed that she was still angry. Zhao Taizhu observed 3 seconds of silence for Qin Zhe. He thought to himself, brother, you can continue to feel the cold wind outside. You can only sleep with a beauty if you suffer the most. So he changed the topic. Let's climb the Great Wall after dinner. Zhang Mingcheng and the others will come later. Will this guy come again recently? Wang Zijin shook her head. Zhao Taizhu snorted. He's quite smart. He deliberately doesn't come. While they were talking, Wang Qingfu came back. He was not busy with work today, so he could squeeze time to go home for dinner. Wang Qingfu looked older than him. His sideburns were gray, and the Chuan character between his eyebrows was very deep. Even if he took good care of his body, it was difficult to hide the fatigue that accumulated over time. Except for those big shots who were fat because of their age. In fact, whether an official was good or bad could be seen from his appearance. It was not absolutely accurate, but it did make some sense. For example, if an official who had just reached middle age had a ruddy face and big ears, needless to say, he must be living a good life. And an official who worked hard could usually be seen from his appearance. Of course, it was also possible that he worked hard on a woman's belly. So, this saying was not accurate, but it made some sense. As long as I drive fast, he can't catch up with me. It was not time for dinner yet. Wang Qingfu nodded to the calls of several juniors. He said goodbye to his father and went straight upstairs. Less than 5 minutes after he left, Zhang Mingcheng came. Zhang Mingcheng was a year older than Wang Zijin and younger than Zhao Taizhu. He was an extremely handsome young man, and he exuded a cultured and elegant aura that was appreciated by the elders. Io Mingcheng is here. Zhang Lingyan was full of smiles. Brother Mingcheng. Brother Mingcheng. Everyone in the house was very happy. Compared to the pitiful person outside who was suffering from the cold wind, this was the son-in-law that the Wang family wanted. Zhang Mingcheng knew how to make the elders happy. In fact, he did not come to the Wang family often, but every time he came, he would bring some gifts. He also had a sweet mouth and called them little aunt and second aunt. Grandfather Wang said that he was a smooth and slick person, and he thought highly of him. Why are you only here now? Zhang Lingyan whispered. Don't come. Zijin has been stolen. Let's see if you regret it. Wang Zijin frowned. Zhang Mingcheng said awkwardly, Little aunt, don't joke around. At the dining table, old man Wang gave Zhao Mingcheng and Zhao Taizhu a few pointers and gave them a test at the same time. Zhang Mingcheng gave his opinion seriously, but Zhao Taizhu just mumbled and ignored him. He was a disappointment. The Wang family had the same opinion of him, but Wang Qingfu had a good opinion of Zhao Taizhu. He was rash, not careful enough, and had the same bad habits as his father. But strangely, those who could be friends with him were mostly sincere. For example, among Wang Zijin's friends, Zhao Taizhu was the only one who could get along well with Qin Zhe. In terms of benefits, Zhao Taizhu had made a fortune this year. And it was a fortune that did not have to worry about. Such a person might not be able to reach high in the future, but he would be able to walk steadily and comfortably. After the meal, they rested for a while. After contacting her friends, Wang Zijin went upstairs to change her clothes and left the Wang family with Zhang Mingcheng and Zhao Taizhu. It was almost the new year, and this group of childhood friends wanted to get together before the new year to climb the Great Wall, enjoy the scenery, eat, and chat. They wanted to talk about the past. The gathering between adults had the dullness of time. If it were a few years ago, they might still get out of the car and drink until they were drunk in the KTV. They might also step on a few ignorant rich kids and make a scene. But now, most of them were in their 30s. Wang Zijin sat in Zhao Tiezhu's Land Rover, and Zhang Mingcheng's car followed behind. When they reached the entrance of the neighborhood, they saw a few cars parked by the roadside. A group of childhood friends surrounded the poor guy who had been standing in the cold wind for 3 days. P.S. There's no air conditioner in the living room. So hot. I can only sit on the bed with my laptop and write. I'm getting old. My waist. Also, a word of advice. Cherish your life and stay away from the World Cup. I have a ticket to the rooftop of the World Financial Building. If you want, contact me on QQ. We're all friends, so I won't charge you. You'll definitely go to heaven if you jump from the rooftop. Chapter 723. So what do you want? Qinzhe looked at the rich second generations in front of him dumbfounded. There were quite a lot of them, about a dozen of them, and the cars they drove were quite normal. If he didn't recognize a few familiar faces, who would have thought that this group of people was a group of rich second generations? He was walking on the side of the road when a few cars passed by. A woman in the car recognized him and called out to Qinzhe. Then the car stopped, and a group of people rushed over and blocked him at the side of the road. No one paid attention to his question. A tall man said. Zhao Taizhu said that he stood in front of the Wang family's house and apologized. I didn't believe it, but it turned out to be true. He knew this man. When he came to the Wang family for the first time, he was brought by Wang Zijin to eat barbecue. He really couldn't remember his name. Originally, he said that he wanted to build up his network, but Haizhe Wang was enjoying himself in Shanghai and didn't have the ambition to expand into the Beijing market. Wang Zijin's circle of friends was wasted. She did write a memo and even had his name, but it was very disrespectful to look at his name on her phone. Hey, do you want to go in? A woman said. Call me Grandaunt and I'll take you in. Qinzhe frowned. It wasn't that he was dissatisfied with the woman's attitude. After all, from her point of view, it was very reasonable for her to help her best friend ridicule a scumbag. It was just that the word sister was a sensitive word to him. Sister equals F***ck translating the above words. This request is too much, isn't it? Then I choose not to go in. So Qinzhe ignored her. Hey, I said that people in the entertainment industry are unreliable, but Zijin didn't believe me. TSK. I'm going to post on Weibo later and scold Qinzhe, this scumbag. Another woman said. That's too troublesome. Just beat him up, a man said. Can you beat him? Mingcheng was beaten up by this guy last year. Hey, he dares to fight back? Just those few lousy companies, he can't operate them in minutes. Then let's bet on whether he dares to fight back, a girl said excitedly. Qinzhe looked at her. She was Zhang Mingcheng's sister. She was there too. Wang Zijin used to say that Zhang Mingcheng's younger sister loved to play behind her older brother. She had a brother complex. For a brother complex, anyone who hindered his brother's marriage should be cut into pieces. Just like a certain brother complex, any woman who wanted to sleep with his brother should be hung up and burned. The former was an ordinary brother complex, while the latter was a brother complex maniac. Sister Ziwei's circle of friends was really scary. Although the brother-in-law of the Wang family was a weakling and couldn't fight on behalf of his mother's family, these second generations who came from the same courtyard perfectly took on the task of fighting. They didn't have any friendship with Qinzhe. It was Wang Zijin who maintained the relationship between the two. When Qinzhe became a scumbag, they would stand out to fight. Seeing that Qinzhe didn't speak, Zhongling said. See, he's here because of Sister Ziwei's family. When he had Sister Ziwei's support, he was so arrogant, but now he's a coward. Oh, I remember the ending of Journey to the West, Zhongling said with a smile. He's like a dog. Everyone laughed. In the car, Wang Zijin saw this scene and clenched her fists. This wasn't the Qinzhe she knew. Although that young man was cowardly, he was only cowardly between them. He had more confidence than any other man. He was so confident that he didn't care about his peers. Most of the time, he was harmless and gentle. However, when he hid his good temper and showed his claws, he was invincible. Zhao Taizhu glanced at her and honked twice. When the people at the entrance looked over, he lowered the car window. What are you all doing outside? Let's go exercise outdoors. When the crowd heard this, they were satisfied with their scolding. Now that the main character was here, they all got into the car. The Land Rover drove out of the neighborhood. Wang Zijin said, "Stop the car." Zhao Taizhu stepped on the brakes. Wang Zijin opened the car door and walked to Qinzhe expressionlessly. She gritted her teeth and said, "Don't you have a temper?" Qinzhe looked at her and said nothing. "Why did you come to Beijing? You can just send a text if you want to break up." Wang Zijin continued, "Then let's talk here. After that, scram back to Shanghai." Qinzhe said softly, "Aren't they all your friends? They're doing this for your own good. If I get angry, it'll make things difficult for you." With that, Wang Zijin's body shook. She said fiercely, "Boring." She ran back to the car and slammed the door. Hey, I just bought this car. Don't slam the door so hard. Zhao Taizhu drove the car and caught up with the group. He kept turning his head to look at Wang Zijin in the passenger seat. She leaned sideways and looked at the car window, wiping her tears quietly. Actually, I'm so sad. I want to kill that little girl Zhang Ling. She's just stubborn and won't admit defeat. Zhao Taizhu muttered. That kid must have done something terrible. If you want to cry, just cry. We've known each other for decades. How can I laugh at you? Wang Zijin tried to hold it in. She couldn't hold it in anymore and burst into tears. She grabbed the tissue box in the car and smashed it on Zhao Tieju's head. You talk too much, you talk too much. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Don't hit my head with the hard corner. Madam, the car is going to crash. Why are you hitting me? Go hit that kid. The Land Rover was driving unsteadily. What the F***CK? If that kid doesn't give me more shares, I'll kill him. Even my wife doesn't hit me like this. The Great Wall of Beijing was also called the Badaling Great Wall. It was an important part of the Great Wall that stretched for thousands of miles. It was located in the outskirts of Yanqing district and was a little far. Most of the people who came here were tourists from other places. Few locals would come here unless they brought friends from other places or had organized activities. As the Spring Festival approached, the number of tourists dropped sharply. However, that was only relatively speaking. In the first-tier cities, many people would choose to travel abroad during the Spring Festival. Because the atmosphere of the Spring Festival was not strong in the big cities, it was not a bad choice to travel with the whole family during the Spring Festival. For people of status, mountaineering, fishing, and playing golf were much more meaningful than singing at the KTV. Wang Zijin was not in the mood. She walked with her head down and did not talk to her friends. The rich kids guessed that she was angry about what happened just now. They accompanied her carefully and did not mention Qin Zhe. Zhang Ling and Zhang Mingcheng walked side by side, lagging behind the rest. She looked at Wang Zijin's back and said, "Brother, aren't you going to do something? Look at her. She's still thinking about that person." Zhang Mingcheng followed her gaze and stared at Wang Zijin's beautiful back. He shook his head and said, "It's better not to do it. It's meaningless. Linger, learn to be smarter. What you did is just reducing my points." Zhang Ling did not understand. If there's a rock next to your feet, you can just kick it away. Zhang Mingcheng thought for a while and explained, "The problem is not that there's a rock next to your feet. It's that we're standing on another path. If we want to take the same path, we can only move closer to it." Zhang Ling still did not understand. In her mind, if she had the ability and background, she should use it to get rid of all the people and things that were in her way. Zhang Mingcheng could not explain these things to his inexperienced sister. He sighed and said, "In the words of you youngsters, do you know how the warm guy got to the top?" Zhang Ling said, "The warm guy is the spare tire." Zhang Mingcheng, "I think there's a difference between the warm guy and the spare tire. Then tell me, how did the warm guy and the spare tire get to the top?" Zhang Mingcheng ignored the word spare tire and said, "Watch over it. So you're the spare tire. Linger, with your attitude, I'm afraid your future relationship will not be smooth sailing." Zhang Mingcheng said, "Compared to him, I've lost. It's not that I'm not good enough. It's just that love is something without logic. If I want to fight, I can't use my power to suppress others. Your sister Ziwei is not a beautiful girl from an ordinary family. I can just send someone to snatch her away. If I learn from you, I'll only increase her disgust and disgust. You have to be patient. That's the right way." Zhang Ling was worried. What if this path doesn't work out? Zhang Mingcheng was suddenly poisoned by his sister. He took 2 deep breaths and said, "It'll depend on fate." Although Zhang Ling was smart, Zhang Mingcheng knew that she had little life experience and even less experience in relationships. Their relationship was just a relationship. Therefore, it was easy for them to fall in love and break up. At Zhang Mingcheng's age, he could not escape the word marriage. When he was in a relationship, marriage and love were different. Indeed, one had to rely on scheming and trickery but not dirty tricks. In this day and age, marriage was either for the sake of money or because both parties were truly in love with each other. Otherwise, one would find a suitable person to marry at the right age. He had never heard of anyone who relied on suppressing the man around the girl to form a marriage. This was not a F***king novel. If there was such a plot, the author would probably be a retard. There was another way. The girl's parents would oppose it. However, when he went to the Wang family today, he did not see any signs of old Master Wang or Father Wang preparing to do so. Zhang Mingqing's heart was heavy. Oh right, don't talk to your sister Ziwei for the next few days. If she looks for you, ignore her, Zhang Mingqing suddenly said. Huh? Why? Zhang Ling was confused. I'm afraid that she'll hit you. I'm in a dilemma. After climbing the Great Wall, they stood at a high point and looked down at the scenery. The group was panting. The women chatted while the men smoked. Although they were tired, they felt refreshed. They came all the way here for this kind of refreshment. One had to reach a certain age to understand how important and comfortable this feeling was. Do you remember the first time we climbed the Great Wall together? Someone said emotionally. We were in the 5th grade, right? It was organized by Sister Ziwei. There were about 20 people at that time. Now, many of them have gone their separate ways and are busy with trivial matters. They can't even gather for the new year. Back then, Zhao Taizhu was always the first to rush. Now he can't. Look at how weak he is. Someone laughed. T. Zhao Taizhu said angrily. I can sleep with 10 girls in a night. Weak my asterisk's. Sleep with 10 girls in a night. A woman said angrily. I knew Zhao Taizhu was unreliable. That's why when you secretly pursued me back then I refused. If I had agreed, there would be a Hulumber grassland on my head now. Damn, Zhao Taizhu pursued you? How shameless. Back then, he said that he would only marry Sister Ziwei. Zhao Taizhu said awkwardly. Don't mention what happened in junior high. In their group it was hard to say who liked who and who confessed to who, but almost none of them succeeded. Some were forgotten by the wind with time, while others still felt regret or bitterness when they thought about it. Everyone looked at Wang Zijin and then at Zhang Mingqing. This pair was the most promising one, but it seemed that they could not bear fruit. Wang Zijin stood on the Great Wall and looked at the rolling mountains. The scenery was tranquil. Actually, even if Qinzhe did not exist, she would not choose Zhang Mingqing. She did not know where her feelings came from. This was an unreasonable thing. Chapter 724. The dinner was at a famous bamboo garden in the capital. The decoration style of the Jiangnan courtyard was very popular among the officials and nobles in the capital. The diners here were either rich or noble. With the high prices, even if ordinary people came in and took a look at the menu, they would leave quietly. As the Chinese New Year approached, the business at Bamboo Garden didn't slow down. Instead, it became even more popular. Those rich kids who were either working outside or were sent to other places to train had all returned to the capital to eat, drink, and play during the holidays. Wang Zijin's group came a little late. The reservation was cancelled because it was too late. When they arrived at Bamboo Garden, there were no more private rooms. The last private room had just been booked. It's all Zhao Tiezhu's fault. He insisted on playing cards. We're late. It's not a big deal. Let's go somewhere else. But I want to eat here. The small group chattered. Just as they were about to leave, Zhang Mingqing was suddenly stopped by someone. Zhang Mingqing turned around and saw that the person who called him was his colleague from the same unit. He was also a rich second generation, and his name was Tang Wenbing. The two of them were usually very close. With Zhang Mingqing's smooth and slick personality, he could get close to anyone. Wenbing, what a coincidence. Zhang Mingqing smiled. You're here for dinner too? Which room is it? I'll come and find you later. Tang Wenbing also smiled. I was just about to leave. There are no more rooms. No more. Tang Wenbing thought for a while and said, why don't you join us? We'll have a private room. Is it convenient? Zhang Mingqing hesitated. Of course. As long as it's convenient for you, we're fine with it. Tang Wenbing looked at the rich kids who weren't in the same circle as him. They were all rich kids that he couldn't afford to offend. At least he couldn't afford to offend them. Back then, old Master Wang was already a big shot. Those who could work with him were all people with real power and authority. After more than 10 years, they naturally climbed higher and went further. The private room was spacious enough to accommodate 2 tables. There was an ink painting screen between the 2 tables. There were orchids in the 4 corners of the room. On the east side was an antique shelf, and on the west side was a bookshelf. The windows were wooden windows like those in ancient times. This was originally a private room for large-scale gatherings. Today it was booked by Huang Wei and the other rich kids. First-rate second generations were in politics, second-rate second generations were in business, and third-rate second generations were just eating and waiting for death. Among the 7 or 8 people present, there were people from both business and politics. They were all led by Huang Wei. Huang Wei was from the capital, but his father used to work in the Jiangnan area. As he slowly climbed up the ranks, he was transferred to the capital. When the imperial court changed, he became a member of the large team and was promoted as scheduled. It belonged to the new student faction. Relying on his father's influence, Huang Wei was like a fish in water in the business world. In Beijing, his status also rose. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west, this saying was not wrong at all. When he was at his most arrogant, he once felt that those high and mighty second generations were nothing more than this. After a few years in the mall, he had become more mature and confident. He no longer showed his arrogance on his face. "Mr. Huang, are you interested in starting a business?" A second generation, who was sent to a small county in Shandong by his father, joked. "As long as you come over to invest, I'll give you the green light. You take the money and I'll take the credit." Huang Wei smiled. "Don't try to harm me. In your lousy place, you'll lose money if you start a real estate business. Those who start a business now either lose money or struggle to survive. Those who want to become bigger and stronger are too bloated. Only a fool would invest in you." The others laughed and jested. Because they were old friends, they did not hold back when they spoke. Just as they were talking, the door opened. Tang Wenbing, who said that he was going out for a smoke, came back with a group of people behind him. "I brought a few friends over." Tang Wenbing explained the situation simply. Huang Wei and the others naturally did not have any objections. Some of them were even happy. The second generation of officials was also divided into different social circles. Without someone familiar to lead the way, or without an official position, it would be hard for them to enter the higher social circles. They were already considered pretty good, but compared to Zhang Mingqing's group, they were still lacking. When Huang Wei saw Wang Zijin at first glance, he was stunned. He frowned at first, but then he smiled as usual. According to the news he heard, Wang Zijin and Qin Zhe had broken up. A grassroots person who lost the support of the Wang family was not worth mentioning. Also, his previous thinking was wrong. Qin Zhe was not the Wang family's white glove. Even his relationship with Wang Zijin was not approved by the Wang family. If it was related to the Wang family's interests, he naturally would not touch Qin Zhe. Huang Wei believed that he was not the only one who noticed Qin Zhe. It was not because of his celebrity aura, but because of the amazing achievements he had made. In the past, he was doing well in the entertainment industry and the financial industry. Those who were jealous of him were not capable enough, and those who were capable enough felt that his scale was not enough. After all, although it was not bad to split Qin Zhe's businesses, it was not enough to tempt Huang Wei. What really tempted him was virtual reality technology. It was a good thing. Huang Wei felt that even if he was not tempted, others would be. It was just that he saw the benefits earlier. The future was not something that entertainment companies and private equity companies could compare to. Qin Zhe was more stubborn than he thought. He protected the food on his plate and did not allow anyone to have a share. Since he did not want to invest, he would take it himself. So far, it seemed that he was a person who harmed others without benefiting himself. Just like Qin Zhe said, as long as he held on for a while, the influence of piracy would decrease. He really had no choice. The times were changing and the laws were improving. It was not as easy to manipulate as before. However, as long as Qin Zhe continued to do it on a large scale, Huang Wei had many ways to stop him and force him to submit. The two tables were separated by a screen. Under Tang Wenbing's lead, the people around him went over to toast and chat. Wang Zijin's small team had people like Zhang Mingqing, who was smooth and slick. The other people's EQ was not low either. They quickly got along well. However, Huang Wei noticed a detail. The people who went over to toast were all his friends, but none of them seemed to come over. The difference in status was obvious. Huang Wei frowned. With his father's current power, he was not much worse than the second generation at the next table. However, he also knew that connections were more important than emotions, so he went over with a glass of wine. He chatted cheerfully with Zhang Mingcheng and laughed heartily with Zhao Taizhu. Everyone gave him face. Holding the wine glass, he walked around in circles. When he reached Wang Zijin, Huang Wei smiled and said, "Sister Ziwei, I didn't have time to drink with you the last time we met in Shanghai. Come, fill the glass. Cheers." However, Wang Zijin ignored him. She did not give him face at all. Huang Wei's friends might not know, but Wang Zijin's childhood friends knew. Huang Wei did something in Shanghai because it was related to Qin Zhe, and Qin Zhe was related to Wang Zijin. Her childhood friends all felt that Qin Zhe was tricked by Huang Wei. So he came to Beijing to suck up to the Wang family. He was a complete scumbag. Go away. Wang Zijin was expressionless, but her words were sharp. Huang Wei's smile disappeared. He looked at Wang Zijin and then at her childhood friends. He sneered. "You're looking down on me, aren't you? We are all second-generation heirs. My father's status is not lower than yours or even higher. What gives you the confidence to talk to me like that?" Wang Zijin pretended that he didn't exist and continued to eat. The granddaughter of the Wang clan's first wife was more arrogant and haughty than anyone else. This was a side that Qin Zhe and Qin Baobao would never see. Huang Wei's face twitched. "I get it. You're doing this for Qin Zhe? TSK, didn't you two break up? Are you still in love with him? You should have said so earlier. If he was from the Wang family, I would have let him go. But he's not. Why do you have to do this? You were abandoned by him and ran back to the capital with your tail between your legs. I did it for you to vent your anger. I didn't even ask you to thank me." Smack! Wang Zijin raised her hand and slapped him. The private room fell silent. Tang Wanbing, who was wondering if he should act as a mediator, was completely dumbfounded. The gazes of the 20 or so people all fell on Wang Zijin's face, as well as Huang Wei's gradually becoming ferocious. Huang Wei's face was twisted. "Try it again." Wang Zijin slapped him again. Smack! The feeling of being slapped was something he had never experienced before, let alone now. Huang Wei exploded. He waved his hand and swept the cups and chopsticks to the floor. "What the F***ck?" Before he could finish his sentence, the 14 people at the table stood up and stared coldly at Huang Wei. Zhao Taizhu and Zhang Mingcheng grabbed their beer bottles. Huang Wei's face changed. He was in a dilemma. Wang Zijin looked at him and sneered. "So what? Do you want to fight with me or the Wang family? If you want to fight with me, sure. Why don't you try it now? I don't know if your friend dares to help you, but my friend can beat you to a pulp. Why don't you try to fight with the Wang family? See if your old man is willing to flip the table for you and the Wang family. In the next meeting, I might want to move my butt a little higher. Although my grandpa is retired, if he comes out and says a few words, do you think I'll be successful?" Zhao Taizhu grinned. "Count the Zhao family in. I'm the only child my old man has." "Wow, the Huang family is so powerful. You scared me to death. Huang, isn't your uncle working for my grandpa? Take it easy. I haven't had fun in a long time." TSK, you've become arrogant after a few years." A group of people mocked and ridiculed. Huang Wei was speechless. The Huang family rose quickly, but its foundation was unstable. They had few allies and insufficient connections. This was the shortcoming of every rising family. On the other hand, the Wang family was an old family in Beijing. They were like the old banyan tree in the courtyard, deeply rooted. You would never know where their roots would spread to. Allies, in-laws, family, friends, students. They had many branches and leaves. Not to mention a slap. Even if they sent him to the hospital, the Huang family might not be willing to flip the table with the Wang family. Trash. No wonder you can only get some money through your family's connections. Now that you're rich, you think I'm second on the first day. You really don't know how to write the word death. Let's not talk about whether Qin Zhe is related to the Wang family. Even if he isn't, you'll be left far behind in 10 years. You won't even be able to see his back. Purple Crystal Technology is mine. I have shares in Dongfeng. Remember, if you dare to touch my things again, it won't be a slap next time." Chapter 725. Qin Zhe sat on a small bench on the side of the road, looking at the dimly lit city, and burped comfortably. He had just invited the guards to a barbecue and drank a few bottles of cold beer. In fact, it was not hard to stay outside the community in the cold wind. Most of the time he was arguing with the guards. He taught them how to trade stocks, manage money, and talked about the more private gossip and inside stories of the entertainment circle. After a few days, the old guard, who had been expressionless in front of him, could now say a few words and ask for some investment and financial advice. Two of the guards had just bought Bao's investment fund. Wang Zijin may still be angry, or she would not ignore me. So, I may have been cheated by Zhao Taizhu. Starting a harem was like speculating in the stock market. He had to think of all sorts of ways to trap them. Suyu was the poorest, and all his funds were used to buy salted fish stocks. Salted fish stocks soared into Hei's king stocks. She was smiling, but salted fish stocks fell into scumbag stocks. Even if she cried and made a fuss, she did not have the courage and determination to cut her meat. Her sister was the second. Her income for more than 10 years was all used to buy her brother's stocks. She was the most firmly trapped. Sister Ziwei was the richest, and she also spent all her money to buy salted fish stocks. But she had a strong foundation and a wide range of connections. She could make money again if she lost money. Suyu did not know that the stocks he bought had plummeted. But with his sister's words, he was stable. If the three women collapsed at the same time, Qinzhe would still choose to stabilize his sister first. The ancient said, "When three people walk together, one of them will be wet. Choose the big one and abandon the small one." It was right to stabilize his sister first. I think of the time when I fought with Sister Ziwei. It was so cool. We beat the troublemakers and scolded whoever was not happy with us. We ruled the elementary school and junior high school in those days. When going out, Zhao Taizhu excitedly said, "If it weren't for Zijin's eyes that stopped me, I would have beaten him." Of course, it was impossible to continue the meal. After leaving the harsh words, Wang Zijin left with her childhood friends. Huang Wei was filled with anger, but considering that he was outnumbered, he would probably have to stay in the hospital for the new year. His family background, which he had always been proud of, did not have any advantage in front of them, especially that woman. He could only watch them leave. It was still better in the past. If I could solve things with my fists, I would never talk nonsense. Now I have to rely on my brain. It's more tiring. Wang Zijin said, "Zhao Taizhu, remember to use your brain more. If you're always so reckless, you'll get beaten up by your father." She didn't say thank you to her childhood friends. She didn't need to thank them since they had played together since they were young. The reason why Old Man Wang chose Wang Zijin was not only because of her ability, but also because she had built her own team early on and built a good team. These were all connections that could support each other in the future. In order to ensure that Wang Zijin was always in the core position of the team, he advocated marriage with the Zhang family. Wang Zijin said goodbye to her friends. She didn't ask Zhao Taizhu to send her home. Instead, she asked Zhang Mingqing if he had time to send her home. She didn't drive and took Zhao Tiezhu's car. Zhang Mingqing was stunned. He smiled and said, "Sure." Wang Zijin looked at Zhang Ling again. Zhang Mingqing hesitated for a moment and said, "Linger, you can take a taxi home first." Zhang Ling knew that she had angered Wang Zijin and didn't want to go with her. Zhang Ling obediently said, "Okay." On the way back, Wang Zijin smiled and said, "Mingqing, you still don't have a girlfriend?" "No." Zhang Mingqing smiled and said, "I plan to be single until I'm 30. Wang Zijin said, "It's too late to have a girlfriend when you're 30. When you're 30 and Tiezhu's child is in primary school, you can start dating." Zhang Mingqing smiled and said, "It depends on fate." Wang Zijin sighed and said, "Why do you have to do this? You're making me feel bad. Mingqing, there are so many good girls. Those who are prettier and more outstanding than me can be counted with both hands and feet. Why do you have to waste time on me? Is it worth it?" Zhang Mingqing was silent for a moment and said, "What about you? You've done so much for him. Is it worth it? You beat up Huang Wei. Although it won't cause the Huang and Wang families to become enemies, the two families will definitely have a grudge against each other. It's a big taboo in politics. Just for him? A person with no background could have a smooth career in the entertainment industry. Although he was talented, no one would believe that he didn't have anyone backing him up. The private equity companies in Shanghai kept trying to cross the line. How could it be possible without anyone backing him up? Qinzhe and Qinbao might not know about the things Wang Zijin did behind the scenes, but Zhang Mingcheng could find out. Wang Zijin shook her head and said, "Our matters have nothing to do with him. I've always treated you as an older brother or a brother. I can be friends with you for life. However, I've never thought of having any feelings other than friendship. It's not your fault and it has nothing to do with him. Even if he didn't appear in my life, I wouldn't have chosen you. I'm sorry, Mingcheng. I still like him the way he is." Zhang Mingcheng tightened his grip on the steering wheel and said, "It's your business who you like. It's my business that I like you. You don't have to feel burdened by it." Wang Zijin rubbed her temples. She was tired and helpless. Compared to a man who pestered her, a man who was silently waiting for her was more difficult for a woman to handle. The premise was that the woman had a conscience. If it were another woman, with a handsome man like Zhang Mingcheng waiting for her silently and willing to spend his time as a single dog, she would probably feel guilty and soften her heart. Then she would take a step back and try to be a lover. Then she would improve step by step. Forget it, forget it, forget it. When he's old enough, even if he doesn't want to get married, the elders in his family will force him to. When the car passed by the entrance of the neighborhood, Wang Zijin looked out of the window but couldn't find Qin Zhe. It was 9 o'clock at night. On the surface, Wang Zijin didn't care about Qin Zhe. In fact, she was secretly paying attention to him. 2 days ago, he stayed until 10 at night before going home. Wang Zijin was a little disappointed that she didn't see Qin Zhe's stone-like figure waiting for his wife. The Wang family was brightly lit. Second uncle, 2 uncles, and sister-in-law were playing mahjong in the living room. Mother Wang and her aunt, Yang Ping, were watching from the side. Father Wang was sitting on the sofa watching the news. The atmosphere was very lively. The New Year atmosphere in the capital wasn't that great either. However, the high-ranking officials and dignitaries could take advantage of the New Year to visit each other from the first day of the New Year until the end of the holiday. Therefore, the atmosphere of the New Year was heavier in the circle of high-ranking officials. Wang Zijin couldn't help but think of last year's New Year in Shanghai. It should have been boring without visiting relatives or going out to play, but she missed last year's New Year. "Dad, I have something to tell you," Wang Zijin said. Wang Chengfu's bespectacled gaze shifted away from the television. He stood up. "Good. I have something to tell you too." The living room of the Wang family's main building was a full 100 square meters. It was divided into a large living room and a small living room. The large living room was used for receiving guests, while the small living room was where the family usually chatted. The father and daughter came to the large living room. There was an antique shelf between them and the mahjong table. Wang Zijin made a cup of tea for her father and told him what happened during dinner. She said, "Dad, if he still doesn't know his place, I'm going to beat him up. Are you okay?" Wang Qingfu shook his head. "I'm fine. I'm the daughter of the Wang family. I can't let anyone bully her." He smiled. "Otherwise, your grandpa will scold me to death." Wang Zijin smiled. "Dad, what do you think of Huang Wei?" Wang Qingfu smiled, seemingly disdainful of his evaluation. "I was just about to tell you about that kid." Wang Zijin immediately said, "There's nothing between us." Wang Qingfu took a sip of hot tea and said helplessly, "You're just like your grandpa with your unreasonable and stubborn habits." Wang Zijin didn't say anything. "Are you not going to go with him this time?" Wang Qingfu said, "Your grandpa told me yesterday that if you don't go back to Shanghai, he'll arrange a blind date for you and Zhang Mingcheng." Wang Zijin's eyes widened. "Grandpa said that he won't force me." Wang Qingfu snorted. "You believe the words of a politician? The prosperity of the Wang family is more important than anything in your grandpa's eyes. So what?" Wang Zijin pursed her lips. "As long as you don't force me, it's useless to force me. At worst, I'll—" She wanted to say run away from home again, but when she thought of the time in Shanghai, she fell silent. Her eyes were full of loneliness. Wang Qingfu sensed his daughter's emotions and sighed. "It's rare to have a lover. If you want to go with him, you don't have to worry about the family." Wang Zijin was surprised. "Dad, you seem to admire him a lot." Wang Qingfu nodded. "Of course I admire him," Wang Zijin argued. "But Mingcheng is more suitable to be the son-in-law of the Wang family. Everyone thinks so. Even Grandpa thinks so." Knowing that his daughter was stubborn, Wang Qingfu didn't expose her. He pinched the lid of the teacup with his fingertips and tapped the teacup lightly. To put it bluntly, your grandpa is good at riding and fighting, but he's not good at governing. The older generation won the world with guns, but they don't know how to govern. In those years, he had been feeling his way across the river. He had made many mistakes and taken many detours. Each generation is stronger than the last. Your grandpa thinks that a marriage alliance is the best choice, but I don't think so. When a businessman reaches a certain scale, he can also defeat the government with his business. Qinze has such potential. He may still be young and tender right now, but in another 20 or 30 years, can you guess how far he will go? In my opinion, the benefits he can bring to the Wang family won't be worse than the Zhang family. Wang Zijin said gloomily. So Dad only chose Qinze from the perspective of a politician. The world is bustling for profit. If you don't change your mindset, you will suffer in the future. After reminding her, Wang Chengfu said, I hate marriage alliances. Wang Zijin's heart skipped a beat. After hesitating for a while, she couldn't help but ask, Dad, back then did you cheat on my mom? This was not a question but an affirmative sentence. However, if her tone was too affirmative, it might touch her father's reverse scale. Wang Zijin thought that she was not young anymore. If she was still chased around the house by her father, it would be too embarrassing. Perhaps it was because of the past decades, but Wang Qingfu was no longer as wary as before. His eyes flashed and he finally nodded. If Grandpa didn't object back then, would Dad have divorced my mom? Wang Zijin looked at her mother, who was sitting at the mahjong table. Your mom and I were arranged by our parents. Although free love was popular back then, our birth meant that we didn't have the freedom to love. Before we got married, your mom and I only met 3 times. Of course, we didn't have any feelings for each other. However, everyone around us was like that. We couldn't do anything about it. A year after you were born, I was transferred to the south to gain experience. There, I met a girl and found the woman I really wanted to marry. Wang Zijin knew about this long ago. Everyone in the family knew. This was a taboo in the Wang family. If anyone dared to mention it, Grandpa would fly into a rage. She must be a very beautiful auntie, Wang Zijin said sadly. No. Wang Qingfu shook his head. True love has nothing to do with beauty. She wasn't as beautiful as your mom. She didn't even graduate from primary school. The burden of life made her extremely tired. However, she had a pair of clear eyes. They were very bright and sincere. The first time I saw her, I was attracted to her eyes. During the process of interacting with her, I slowly understood what attracted me. It was unyielding bravery, strength, and the determination to fight against fate despite being humble. That was what I longed for. Compared to her, even if I was born into a wealthy family and held a high position, I was still a small person mentally. I was deeply attracted to her and fell in love with her. I decided to divorce your mom after returning to Beijing. She was the woman I wanted to marry. But Grandpa didn't agree. Wang Zijin asked carefully. I had a huge argument with him. It was the first time in my life that I had argued with him. We slammed the table and argued. Wang Qingfu bitterly said. At that time I was training in the south, and I would be promoted when I came back. Of course, your grandfather wouldn't agree to my divorce. Having an affair in marriage and having an illegitimate child was enough to ruin my career and my life in that simple era. In the end, I didn't have the courage to fight against fate. I was a coward. Your mom was angry with me in the early years because of this. You had to live with Grandpa for so many years. Wang Zijin's face was full of resentment. A marriage is not a matter between 2 people. It's a matter between 2 families. There are too many interests involved. It's fine if both parties are in love with each other. But if there are no feelings, the future will only be painful because you can't even get a divorce. I support you in Qinze. It's not that he's better than Zhang Mingcheng. If he's really that good, you wouldn't have returned home in a fit of anger. But since you chose him, you have a way out. Even if he were to let you down in the future, I won't have any qualms about teaching him a lesson. There's an illegitimate child. Wang Zijin was freaking shocked. She only knew that her dad fooled around with a woman outside in the early years. But she didn't know that the woman had given birth to a child for him. She only found out after living for 26 years that she had a younger brother or sister. So Dad is a scumbag too. Wang Zijin thought about how her mom was cheated on for more than 20 years. Then she thought about herself and felt a little sad. She regretted it the moment she said that. She looked at her father's expression carefully. But her father didn't care and smiled. Wang Zijin probed. Then what about that auntie? And that child? Dad, you haven't contacted him for so many years? With that one sentence, Wang Chengfu, who was still calm just a moment ago, suddenly collapsed. Both father and daughter fell silent. Wang Zijin didn't dare to say anything. Her father's silence explained everything. She thought that she might have touched her father's real taboo. At this moment, Wang Zining turned off the annoying political news in the small living room and switched to the internet mode. He chose a song as the background music for the mahjong game. It was a song that Qin Baobao sang on the stage of Singer last year. Among her series of excellent songs, it wasn't outstanding. Until now, there weren't many people who listened to it. The title of the song was Miss Chu. In a place far away from the city in my fertile and smoky hometown, there's a village called Beacon Tower. I once had a relationship with a girl named Chu. Wang Zining pretended to be worried and imitated the voice of a mature man. He howled. Miss Chu, the wind in the village is filled with your fragrance. The lipstick kissed by the wind is too obvious. Wang Zijin looked at her father again and felt her scalp go numb. The past suddenly burst out like a flood. This man's eyes actually reddened and his lips trembled slightly. Miss Chu, the tears of time have torn away my disguise. Do you remember how I was when I was young? Miss Chu, where are you now? Do you remember how I was when I was young? Do you remember how I was when I was young? The past is the past. Chapter 726. Her father's demeanor made Wang Zijin realize that no matter how serious a person was, there was still a soft spot in his heart. Over the years, the relationship between her parents had improved a lot. Wang Zijin even cursed silently. Please don't give me another younger brother or sister when I'm already so old. After all, the second child policy has been introduced. At this moment, she realized that her mother might never be able to enter her father's heart. Their harmony was a kind of compromise with time. She didn't like Zhang Mingcheng. Apart from the fact that she didn't love him, there was also her resistance to the marriage alliance. It was a psychological trauma from her parents. After a long time, Wang Chengfu slowly exhaled and returned to his usual strict manner. The past is the past. People can never change what has happened, but they can grasp the future. I just remembered something that I forgot to tell you. Wang Zijin looked at her father. What is it? Wang Chengfu. When I came back at night, I saw that he was still outside the neighborhood, so I told him not to come back in the future. Wang Zijin looked at her father in a daze. Her heart suddenly turned cold. Wang Chengfu clicked his tongue. It's bad for your father to be standing outside all the time. Yesterday he was even mocked by others. He must have been scared by my words and left immediately. Dad. Wang Zijin stood up and cried loudly. How can you be like this? Qin Zhe could ignore how the family mocked him, but if her father told him to leave and not to come back in the future, it was almost as if his attitude and position were clear. No wonder she didn't see Qin Zhe when she came back. Did he already go back? He had suffered so much today, and now he was stabbed in the back by her father. It wouldn't be strange if he went back to Shanghai disheartened. Then between the two of them, thinking of this, Wang Zijin suddenly exploded and rushed out of the door in a panic. She ran all the way to the entrance of the neighborhood, holding her knees and panting. She looked around but naturally she couldn't see Qin Zhe. She took out her phone and called him, but his phone was turned off. Wang Zijin's heart turned cold. There was only one possibility for his phone to be turned off. He was on a plane to Shanghai. He really left. He left Beijing and left her. Don't go. Maybe I'll forgive you if you wait a few more days. In an instant, the emotions that had been suppressed in her heart exploded. Wang Zijin squatted at the entrance of the neighborhood, tears falling down her cheeks. Do you need me to connect you to your family? Or is there anything I can help you with? The middle-aged guard heard her crying and came over to ask. They were not security guards. They were guards. If they were in ancient times, they would be imperial bodyguards. The people in the community were all masters. If the master's family members were in trouble, the guards would go up and say, Miss, what can I do for you? Wang Zijin wiped her tears in a panic, sniffed, and said in a nasal voice, "When did Qinzhe leave?" The guard thought for a moment. Around 6:30 in the afternoon. Wang Zijin did some calculations. If he had taken the fastest flight, he would have reached Shanghai by now. Because his phone ran out of battery, he went back to the hotel to charge it, the guard added. What? What did you say? Wang Zijin looked up and stared at him. The guard said, "Charging it. He kept telling us how to invest in the stock market. He showed us how to do it on his phone, but it ran out of battery." Oh. Wang Zijin almost cried tears of joy. She turned around and ran home. She drove out again and went to the hotel to look for Qinzhe. Halfway through the car, she remembered that she did not know which hotel Qinzhe was staying at. So she stopped the car by the roadside and called Zhao Taizhu. "You're asking about Qinzhe's hotel?" Zhao Taizhu gossiped. "Hey, you're so easy to coax. Where's my Miss Zijin's pride? I'll come over and beat you up if you keep talking." Wang Zijin gritted her teeth. "Tell me," Zhao Taizhu said. "I guess he's at Yellow Gate Hotel." "Guess?" Wang Zijin raised her eyebrows. "Yes, when I was chatting with him, he said that the girl at the front desk was very beautiful. She had big breasts and a perky butt. If it's near your house, the girl at the front desk is very beautiful and high-end. I think it's Yellow Gate Hotel. Go and look for it," Zhao Taizhu said. Wang Zijin's mouth twitched. She resisted the urge to take a taxi home and drove to Yellow Gate Hotel. Yellow Gate Hotel was a 5-star hotel. 5-star hotels were everywhere now, but their facilities were actually very low. The facilities, environment, decoration, and service of Yellow Gate Hotel were all worthy of being a 5-star hotel. Of course, for a rich girl like Wang Zijin who had to choose a 6-star hotel even if she wanted to get a room with Qinzhe, a 5-star hotel was not considered high-end. It was just that there were no 5-star hotels in this area. Otherwise, Wang Zijin would have gone straight to the most expensive hotel to look for Qinzhe. After hearing from the girl at the front desk that Qinzhe had indeed not checked out, Wang Zijin was relieved. However, when she asked for the room number, the girl at the front desk did not tell her directly. Instead, she called Qinzhe's room to report. After receiving a confirmation, the girl at the front desk smiled. "He's in room 2013. Wang Zijin smiled and nodded. "Thank you." She looked at the front desk carefully and went upstairs with relief. She was just 7 points and no more. Such girls were everywhere in a certain black-hearted maggots company. She waited until the elevator came down. Ding! The elevator door opened. Qinzhe was standing in the elevator. Although he was wearing a mask, Wang Zijin could still feel that he was smiling at her. The two of them looked at each other for a moment. Wang Zijin's eyes were slightly red, and there were signs that she was going to cry. "Let's go upstairs first." Qinzhe pulled her into the elevator. After swiping the card and entering the room, Wang Zijin gently broke away from Qinzhe's hand. "I thought you went back." Qinzhe sighed. "If you didn't come, I would have really gone back." Ever since the great Haizhe King started his career, he had never been treated like this. "Why are you leaving?" Wang Zijin's eyes were red. "You've wronged me so much. Do you still have a reason? What's wrong with being wronged? If you dare to leave, I'll fly to Shanghai and beat you to death." Sister Ziwei was still so pretentious. Qinzhe sighed in his heart and said, "Then why are you here again?" Wang Zijin sniffled and forced herself not to cry. "What should I do? I still can't forget you. I pretend that I don't care about you, but every morning when I wake up, I can't help but wonder if you're still out there. Seeing them bully you like this, I feel so sad. But I don't want to forgive you. I don't want to accept such outrageous things, but I can't do anything about it. I just can't bear to part with you. I'm so angry, so angry." Probably because she was really angry as she spoke, her tears fell again. "Hit me if you're angry. You can control the rest of my life to your heart's content." Qinzhe wiped the tears on her face. "But don't leave, okay?" Wang Zijin cried for a long time before she calmed down a little. She glared at Qinzhe. "I came to see you, but you're not surprised at all. Do you think you've got me?" "I'm surprised. I'm very surprised," Qinzhe said. "But I'm Haizhe King after all. Haizhe King is a big shot who doesn't show his emotions. The familiar style made Wang Zijin smile through her tears. Actually, I wanted to come a long time ago, but I didn't dare to. I was afraid that you would still be angry, afraid that you wouldn't forgive me, afraid that I would come with hope but return with disappointment. Qinzhe whispered sweet nothings and sold out his teammates at the same time. It was Zhao Taizhu who gave me a hint. That's why I came. Wang Zijin raised her eyebrows when she heard that. Zhao Taizhu? Yeah, he posted that poem on his moments and specifically at me. Qinzhe said. He said that you've been thinking about me and you look haggard. When I heard that, my heart ached so much that I came over the next day. Wang Zijin gritted her teeth. I'll definitely teach him a lesson when I get back. But without him, I wouldn't be able to hold you here. Zijin, come back to Shanghai with me. Let's get married, Qinzhe said. If he had to choose one of the three to get married, he could only choose Wang Zijin. It was impossible between him and his sister, and the Wang family wouldn't allow Wang Zijin to be a woman without status. Wang Zijin shook her head. I won't go back to Shanghai. I've already promised Grandpa that I'll stay in Beijing. I'm sorry, I won't go back to Shanghai anymore. Qinzhe frowned. What about my parents? What kind of wife doesn't go home? I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, my sister. Don't say it. Wang Zijin pressed her slender finger against his lips. Her expression was complicated. There's no sister, there's never been a sister. I don't want to go back to Shanghai. I want to stay in Beijing. Ace, please don't say it. Qinzhe looked at her. Once again, he understood that Sister Ziwei and his sister couldn't go back to the past. Just as his sister didn't want that wolf to step into the house, Wang Zijin didn't want to talk about her best friend. Her best friend was deeply in love with her younger brother, and their love that wasn't recognized by the world. Since she couldn't let it go, she could only choose to ignore it. In a situation where they had never contacted each other and planned to never talk to each other again, they tacitly chose the same way to compromise their relationship. Ace, Wang Zijin said softly, do you remember what you said to me the day I agreed to be your girlfriend? Qinzhe recalled carefully. For the rest of my life, please take care of me? Yes. She smiled. For the rest of my life, please take care of me. Wang Zijin didn't go home that night. Chapter 727. December 30th, New Year's Eve. Qinzhe rushed back to Shanghai before New Year's Eve. Wang Zijin refused to go back to Shanghai with him. Of course, she would not come back with him for the new year. He promised his sister that he would go home for the new year. Wang Zijin also did not want him to stay at the Wang's house for the new year. The Wangs did not like him. Wang Zijin did not want him to stay there and be bullied. Wang Zijin estimated that he would have to travel between Shanghai and Beijing in the future. She did not make an appointment with him to go to Beijing. Qinzhe's roots were all in Shanghai. His sister and Siyu were also in Shanghai. He could not stay in Beijing with Wang Zijin. It was inevitable that they would be a long-distance couple in the future. Fortunately, it was only a 2.5-hour flight from Shanghai to Beijing. He went empty-handed. When he came back, he carried a suitcase. He went home first. His sister saw him come back alone and was secretly relieved. She did not mention anything about Beijing or her best friend who she never wanted to see again. It was as if her brother really went out for a trip. When he came back, he belonged to her again. While the old man was in the study and their mother was in the living room, the sister and brother kissed in the room. Why don't you wear a skirt? It's hard for me to open the car door like this. Qinzhe held his sister's slender waist with one hand and moved the other hand around her round and firm buttocks. His sister was wearing a white knitted sweater today with a pair of slim pencil pants. This kind of pants especially showed off her legs. It was straight and long. He wanted to measure her legs. Also, it could very well outline the perfect shape of her buttocks. A woman with a flat buttocks was not suitable to wear slim pencil pants. Qin Baobao pushed him away. Don't, I'm not feeling well. Qinzhe said nervously. You have a cold? Come, let me take your pulse. He pretended to hold his sister's wrist and thought for a moment. Well, it's a little cold, but it's okay. I'll give you an injection. In fact, he could not feel any illness. Chinese medicine relied on pulse to make a rough assessment of the patient's blood vessels. Basically, it was impossible to make a correct diagnosis by pulse alone. Heh! Qin Baobao laughed disdainfully. That's all you have in your head. The two of them had been separated for a week. They should have been in love with each other and driven crazily under the eyes of their parents. However, Qin Baobao was really not feeling well. Although Qin Zhe could not feel her pulse, he could tell from her expression. It's just that my head is a little dizzy and I'm very tired. I keep wanting to sleep. Qin Baobao frowned and looked at her brother with a pitiful expression. Maybe I didn't rest well. Then you sleep. Qin Zhe hugged her to the bed. I'll stay by your side. Qin Baobao took off her pencil pants. Her two long legs were white and tender, slender and sexy. Her white skin was lined with blue lace. She noticed Qin Zhe's hot gaze and retracted into the quilt before his claws reached out. She said angrily, I'm really going to sleep. I can't drive when I get in bed. It's not safe. The act of driving in bed was tantamount to circling the traffic police at 200 yards per hour. Her mother and the old man were traffic police. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it was dark early. In Nan Man Pei's villa, Suyu lazily curled up in the single sofa. The air conditioner in the room delivered warm air. Her black hair was scattered over her shoulders. Her delicate face was full of tiredness and drowsiness. Nan Man Pei came in from the outside, frowned and turned on the humidifier in the corner. She had a little rhinitis. If she turned on the air conditioner in winter without a humidifier, her nose would be very uncomfortable. Don't sleep. Come down and help me chop the dumpling fillings. Nan Man Pei said. I'm tired. I don't want to go. So you didn't open her eyes and said in a lazy tone, let Donglai and Ziki help you. They won't. You say it as if I will. Nan Man Pei was not angry. He poured himself a glass of water and took a sip. He hasn't come back yet? Don't care about him. Suyu's tone was bitter. I know it's not that simple. Ba Old Wang next door. I'm afraid he's in the capital now. Nan Man Pei said sourly. Suyu sighed faintly. When he thought of Qin Zhe, he was angry. That guy was probably afraid that she would be angry and obstructed, so he quietly ran to the capital. He texted her when the plane landed. He must have gone to admit his mistake. Was he going to get back together? Suyu was so angry that she rolled 360 degrees on the bed and screamed. Imperial concubine Su was only one step away from ascending to the throne of the Empress and becoming the mother of the world. Who would have thought that the abolished Empress of the Wang family would have a momentary recovery before her death and make a comeback? If old Wang doesn't die, will I always be a concubine? I really want to throw 100 reams at her and smash her to death. Because of Qin Zhe, she quarreled with her parents several times. It could be said that she had broken up with them. She couldn't go to the Su family and her grandmother's house. She didn't want to go either. It was New Year's Eve. She could only spend New Year's Eve with Sister Man. Fortunately, Sister Man was a single dog. She could spend New Year's Eve on her own and didn't have to look at the male host's face. You don't chop the dumpling fillings, right? Nan Man Pei squinted. I can also choose to take Donglai and Ziki to the Li family for New Year. Grandma misses them very much. Suyu became nervous and said with a bitter face, Sister Man, we're all single dogs. Shouldn't single dogs warm each other and lick each other's fur? You can't do such a thing. Single dogs. Nan Man Pei's eyes twitched. You're a mistress. Even I feel sad for you. Nan Man Pei sighed. Suyu's face darkened. Suyu's phone rang. She picked up the phone, and then her face turned cloudy and sunny. In an instant, she became bright and beautiful and ran out of the door happily. Nan Man Pei followed her downstairs and heard the sound of Suyu's long legs stepping on the stairs. When she reached the living room as she expected, the man was back. Her spineless best friend threw herself into the man's arms and giggled. What are you doing at my house? Nan Man Pei said angrily. Taking my wife home for New Year's. Qin Zhe said. How can I spend New Year's at my friend's house? Where's your real girlfriend? Nan Man Pei asked. In the capital. She didn't come back. Oh, a rich young lady. You can't invite her. Qin Zhe didn't explain. He stroked Suyu's hair. Let's go home. My dad misses you. Can I? Of course, Qin Zhe said softly. We'll spend New Year's Eve together every year. Unless I go to the capital. The capital? Wang Zijin, she. Suyu paused and understood. She didn't mention it anymore. Her eyes raised a bright smile, and she changed her words. Let's go. Hey. Nan Manpei stopped her. Before you go, help me cook. Suyu turned her head and said unhappily, we're not here for New Year's. You cook yourself. We're going back to eat. Nan Manpei raised her eyebrows. I'll slap you to death, you little b****. Suyu shrank her head. Help her cook, help her cook. Look at her pitiful face. Qinzhe thought it would take at most half an hour to cook a meal, so he agreed. Nan Manpei went into the kitchen to help him, chopping the dumpling fillings. There's quite a lot of variety. Qinzhe looked at the dumpling fillings and clicked his tongue twice. There were chives, beef, egg yolks, cabbage and pork fillings, and even donkey meat, but the amount was small. You're in charge of chopping the meat and leaving the seasoning to me. Do you know how to make dumplings? What can't I know? I've been cooking for more than 10 years. Nan Manpei was full of confidence. In the end, the dumplings were not beautiful at all. They were forced together and looked more like glutinous rice balls. Anyway, it's fine as long as it's edible, right? I'm a pragmatist. Nan Manpei quibbled. Yes. You're right. Qinzhe nodded. You're older than me. You're right. He also made a table of rich home-cooked dishes for her. Pei Nanman smelled the aroma of the dishes and reflected. Is my culinary skills really bad? Qinzhe said perfunctorily. You're great. Come on. Nan Manpei rolled her eyes. Ziki and Donglai don't like to eat my dishes, but they don't dare to say it. Suyu often criticizes me. Qinzhe said in surprise. Did you take the wrong medicine? You actually admitted it? Nan Manpei immediately raised her eyebrows, grabbed the ladle and pretended to hit it. Then she sighed helplessly and put it down. Is the Wang family settled? Kind of. When are you going to hold the banquet? Qinzhe was silent for a few seconds. We're getting the marriage certificate, but not the banquet. Will the Wang family agree? I don't care if they agree or not. When Sister Ziwei is pregnant, they have to admit it. Nan Manpei smiled. In the future, Wang Qingfu will make things difficult for you. If you want to be able to speak loudly, don't rely on them. In the future, you can ask the Wang family for help for small things, but don't rely on them for big things, understand? She said softly. The Wang family is rich and powerful, but they always have their shortcomings. As long as your business grows bigger and bigger, they will ask you for help. Remember, you can cooperate, but you can't rely on them. This is Sister Manman's experience. Qinzhe nodded. I will learn more from Sister Manman in the future. The relationship between Nan Manpei and the Li family was worthy of his reference. After all, the Li family is not as good as the Wang family. You still need to find your way. Sister Man will give you some advice. Don't touch the gray industry chain. In the future, don't just think about making money. Work hard to improve your influence. It's the influence of a businessman, not a star. Make more people unable to leave you, unable to leave your things. Virtual reality technology was a very good way to become a leader in this industry and create more jobs. In the future, you can try to do more businesses. Don't be afraid of being bloated. Bloated has its benefits. When you kidnap the government one day, people who want you dead will be afraid of your death, and you will be safe. It's best to expand your influence abroad and build yourself into a national pride company. Only then can you really rest easy. It's not safe to just struggle in the country. If you can do this, you will be able to defeat the government with business. Qinzhe was deep in thought. Sometimes I envy Suyu. Although men are not very reliable, they are not bad. When it's time to be doted on, Anyway, she thinks it's good. She talks about defeating Wang Zijin, but in fact, it's just that. You can also find a reliable man. There are a lot of men chasing you outside. Qinzhe winked. Have you met a man who makes your heart beat? Yes. Nan Manpei said lightly. Really? Qinzhe was shocked. Nan Manpei looked at him mischievously. Do you feel unbalanced and uncomfortable? Qinzhe shook his head. I'm just curious. What kind of man can make you fall in love with him? Nan Manpei knocked him on the head with a chestnut murderously. Old man. Qinzhe grinned. Nan Manpei suddenly understood and his eyes flashed. Of course, it's a very outstanding man. He is smart and wise. When you first met him, he was not eye-catching, But he grew at an extremely fast speed from a small sapling to a towering tree. Sometimes he is like an immature child. His words, actions, and feelings are so immature that it's annoying. But this is not enough to cover his brilliance. Wherever he stands, there will be cheers for him. You will find that in front of him, other men are mediocre and boring. There is such a man in the world. Qinzhe scratched his head and said carefully, "Sister man, it can't be me, right?" "No." Nanman Pei said. "Then I'm relieved." Nanman Pei smiled. "Get lost." Okay. Chapter 728. After moving south for nearly 10 years, she had seen all kinds of people and seen all kinds of things. She wasn't the kind of woman who couldn't live without love. However, it was rare for her to fall in love with a man. Nanman Pei stood by the sink feeling lost. Ahem. Qinzhe, who had just gone out, came back. He thought for a while and said, "I just want to say a few words on behalf of that man." Nanman Pei bit his lip and looked back. He just feels that he's too young and doesn't have the right. In the eyes of outsiders, he might think that the sapling has grown into a towering tree, but he knows that he's far from tall enough. At least in terms of love, he can't be considered a towering tree. He has 3 vines wrapped around his body, and he has to fight every day. Otherwise, they might beat him. So, he actually hopes that someone can suppress the 3 vines. Right now, there's 1 vine that can do it, but the sapling feels that it's not tall enough. If there's 1 vine, when it feels that it's strong enough, I think it'll want that vine to attach itself to it. He went out of the living room and called Li Donglai to the courtyard. The master and disciple sat down and smoked. "You'll be interning in a year. Are you interested in interning at my company?" Qinzhe blew out smoke rings. "Even if you want to be a celebrity, I can make you famous." Li Donglai scratched his head. He had the same behavior as Qinzhe when they were in the kitchen. He said, "Auntie won't allow it. I've already joined the party this year. After I graduate, I'm preparing to take the civil service exam. I'll follow the path my dad arranged. If it was in the past, I would definitely follow you." Who would have thought that the poor student back then would be a top student now? Qinzhe thought for a while. He guessed that it would be good to let him follow the path the Li family arranged. If he followed him, it would limit his growth. It would be better to let him try out in the system. He might be a good card in the future. Thinking back to the little brat who looked at people with the corner of his eyes, he suddenly felt like he had experienced the vicissitudes of life. "Oh right, how's Qingyuan? I heard from Ziki that she's hanging an all over her head again?" Qinzhe probed. "Aha." Li Donglai's face was full of mockery. "Her grades are better than mine now. No, I'm not on the same level as her. I don't know if she can get into Cambridge or Massachusetts, but I think it won't be a problem for her to get into Tsinghua or Peking University. The key is that her family supports her. She has money and power, and her grades are good. I think she's quite stable." Qinzhe rubbed his forehead. "She won't really be admitted to a famous foreign university, will she?" Li Donglai chuckled and said, "Don't worry. Even if she asks you for a promise, it will be a few years later. Who knows, she might grow into a mature lady with long legs and a perky butt. American food is high in calories, so there's hope." Qinzhe chuckled. "Interesting. Boscum." Peiziki happened to walk over. Hearing this conversation, her almond-shaped eyes immediately widened. "Let's go." Qinzhe was too lazy to bicker with her. He waved his hand and called Suyu over. Holding her hand, they walked away. After they left, Li Donglai sighed. Okay. Chen Qingyuan is working so hard, but she still can't settle down. You should keep your feelings of love in your heart for the rest of your life." Peiziki's eyes turned red. "It's none of your business." During the Chinese New Year, Qinzhe and his sister accompanied their parents to visit relatives. After his cousin went through the crisis of his girlfriend's pregnancy, he was finally willing to calm down and study hard. He was no longer only thinking about games and women. After all, people had to grow up. On the road of growth, they suffered losses and fell. Naturally, they began to become sensible. His uncle's family spent the Chinese New Year in the hospital. His grandmother was 76 years old this year. The hard work in the first half of her life and the fear in the second half of her life had drained her bones. Fortunately, Su Guang turned over a new leaf and changed his ways. This allowed her to be happy in her old age. During the Chinese New Year worship, Su Guang knelt in front of his grandfather's grave and cried loudly. Su was 18 years old after the Chinese New Year. She was young and beautiful. After playing that damn game, Qinzhe didn't know how to face her. While his family was in the ward, Qinzhe went to the toilet. His cousin with a soft voice chased after him and called in a soft voice, "Cousin." Qinzhe stopped and turned around. "I want to follow you during the winter vacation." Su Yu's expression was shy and timid. "Follow me for what?" Qinzhe was confused. "I want to follow you to gain experience." Su Yu bit her lip and frowned carefully. "Can I? Why don't you follow your cousin?" "No." She refused too decisively. She added, "I don't want to work in an entertainment company." "Then give it a try." Anyway, he was going to merge several companies this year. When the time came, he would arrange an office assistant or something for her. Otherwise, his sister or Su Yu would have to find another assistant for him. His cousin's beauty was more pleasing to the eye. Speaking of Su Yu, Qinzhe began to have a headache again. After the first month of this year, Su Yu, who had resigned as the general manager of Baozi Investment, took office again. She moved out of the fancy apartment and lived in Tangchun First Pin, not far from Royal View Grand Court. Qinzhe found a nanny to take care of her. In the luxurious and spacious living room, Nan Manpei glanced at her sluggish best friend and snorted. "Useless thing, after a few days of quarreling you've been coaxed again?" After New Year's Eve, Qinzhe and Su Yu laid their cards on the table and bluntly told each other about their relationship. Su Yu's expression at that time was like this. Hashtag. Underscore. Then this. Underscore. Finally. This. Underscore. She waved her hand and slapped him twice, saying that they broke up. Then she ran home crying. Of course, the first thing she did when she got home was to cry her heart out. Then she called Pei Nanman. "Big sister man, I broke up with you. I feel terrible. Please come quickly. I really can't live anymore. If you don't come, I'll be dead." Nan Manpei heard it and knew in his heart, and drove over without saying a word. Su Yu shrank in the kitchen crying with snot and tears, with a kitchen knife at her feet. Nan Manpei still remembered Su Yu's tearful expression, saying that this time they really broke up, that it was impossible, and that from then on she and Qinzhe would cut off all ties, and never contact each other again, as if this period of time was f***ed by a dog. Nan Manpei advised, "Think about it, don't be impulsive." Su Yu cried and said, "There's nothing to think about, I'll find an honest man and marry him later, that's all." Nan Manpei, who knew that this day would come, didn't panic at all, and complained in his heart that the honest man didn't eat your rice, don't harm others. He said, "Give him some more time, see what he says." Su Yu said, "What's there to say, I was blind to like him. I won't forgive him even if I die, bah, disgusting." "Didn't you say at that time, even if you die, you won't forgive him again?" Nan Manpei lamented her misfortune and hated her for not fighting for it. "You should hold on for a few more days, I'll cheer for you." "Oh, you fake best friend, if you knew about it, you would have hidden it from me for so long." Su Yu glared at her, stroked her belly with both hands, and her eyes were full of tenderness. "But there's no way, I can't let my future children have no father. You said that I'm finally pregnant, and the little bastard is obviously on his father's side. Humph, otherwise Qinzhe would kneel in front of me and I wouldn't forgive him." "Oh, it's fragrant." Nan Manpei disdainfully curled her lips. She was a little jealous. Su Yu was pregnant. She was pregnant for almost a month. When her period didn't come, she asked Qinzhe if she was pregnant. There were a lot of similar speculations, so Qinzhe insisted that she was not pregnant. It was one of the 3 major illusions in life. Su Yu thought about it and felt that it was reasonable. She didn't believe that she was pregnant. If she hadn't cried so miserably that day and fainted, Nan Manpei would have sent her to the hospital and found out that she was pregnant. Nan Manpei was not surprised by this outcome. Her silly best friend couldn't escape from Qinzhe's palm. And now she was pregnant with a child. The child just gave her a way out. After she was angry and complained, the little bastard came to admit his mistake and coaxed her. It would be strange if she was willing to let go. "I told you, I'm the biggest winner." Su Yu patted her flat belly. "You're not the only one who's pregnant." Nan Manpei warned. If Su Yu's pregnancy was a matter of course, then Qin Baobao's pregnancy was purely an accident, Or it was poisoned by Qin Bao Bao, who was a first-time wife, had no concept of contraception and didn't think so much. As a result, she was pregnant. Fortunately, Suyu had one in her belly. Otherwise, she would vomit 3 liters of blood like Zhouyu, shouting that she had given birth to a baby, and then die of depression. His old Qin's family has already exploded, Suyu gloated and hummed to express her disdain for Qin Bao Bao. She's just a sister who can't see the light. What's there to worry about? Wang Zijin is not in Shanghai, so I can go to the Qin's family openly. Anyway, uncle and auntie know that the baby in my belly belongs to their family, so they will treasure me. In the future, I'll go to Qin Bao Bao with a big belly every day and piss her off. If she dares to touch me, uncle will beat her to death. And I'm pregnant earlier than her, so my baby is bigger than hers. After the baby is born, I'll encourage my baby to bully her baby every day, humph. Nan Manpei imagined Qinzai's future life and slowly shuddered. It's as if you've seen the light. Nan Manpei warned her best friend not to be too arrogant. There's still a real one in Beijing. It's just a marriage certificate. There's no banquet. Suyu rolled her eyes. Who cares about her certificate? In the future, A's will still be in Shanghai most of the time. I'll treat her as if she doesn't exist. By the way, when my belly is big in the future, it won't be easy for me to work. Sister Manpei, please help me with the formation of Baozi Group. Anyway, you have shares. Suyu said. Don't even think about it. What do I want? Nan Manpei muttered. Suyu was stunned. He said that one of the few vice-chairman positions in Baozi Group was specially prepared for you. He also said that he needed you to help him suppress the rascals. Nan Manpei panicked for no reason. A strange feeling of joy and panic arose in her heart. She knew who Qinzai was talking about. She also remembered what Qinzai said in the kitchen that day. They haven't come back from Japan yet? Nan Manpei's eyes flickered. She found an excuse to change the topic. Suyu said. They used the excuse of finding an agent to take refuge. Otherwise, Qin Bao Bao would be beaten to death by her father. For the strict Qin family, it was intolerable for a daughter to be pregnant before marriage. After Qin Bao Bao was pregnant, the Qin family was in an uproar. Old Master Qin and Qin Ma were very excited. They were not excited because of happiness but because of explosive excitement. The most unbearable thing for the two elders was that Qin Bao Bao refused to say who the child was. When asked, she cried and said that it was a scumbag. But she refused to say who it was. Their daughter was like this. As parents, no matter how much they hated her, they could not bear to continue to blame her. Then Qinzai suffered a calamity. The old man took out the big leather belt on his waist and turned to interrogate him. The siblings had been in Japan for almost half a month and had not returned. Su Town. Cemetery. The siblings, who had sneaked back to China, each held a bouquet of chrysanthemums and stood in front of Su Ru's grave. Aunt Su, I brought her to see you again. It's different this time. It's not my sister this time. It's my daughter-in-law. She's pregnant with my child. I don't blame you for giving me to my mother to raise. In fact, I should be grateful. Otherwise, I wouldn't have met her, known her, and fallen in love with her. Fate is unpredictable, but it doesn't owe anything. Su Yao is doing well now. As you expected, he changed his fate. He is no longer tortured by poverty and no longer works hard for his life. He's still looking for that man, but how can he find him? He can't even remember what that man looks like, let alone who he is and where he is. It's because he still has an obsession in his heart. I've never thought of looking for him, so what if I find him? It's meaningless. He's not my father and you're not my mother, right, Aunt Su? But my child should be able to call you Grandma. Qin Bao Bao stood aside and watched him carefully clean up the weeds and leaves beside the grave. Her eyes were gentle. Gently placing the flowers in front of the grave, she waved her hand and let Qinzai hug her. She leaned her head on his shoulder and whispered, sing me another song. Qinzai looked into the distance, looking at the pale white sky and the dark green tea forest. The wind and rain become flowers. Time can't catch up with the white horse. The dream talk in your palm when you were young. Are you still holding it tightly? Ooh. We agreed not to separate. We'll always be together even if we're enemies with time, even if we're separated from the whole world. End of book.